Chapter 787. Su Zimo wiped away the tears on Nianqi's face gently and handed over a storage bag with a smile. "Here's a storage bag for you, don't cry anymore." Su Zimo's tone was as though he was coaxing a child. Nianqi was both embarrassed and angry. However, he could not suppress his curiosity and received the storage bag. Opening it, he asked, "What's inside?" "Ah!" When he saw the items inside, Nianqi exclaimed and raised his head to look at Su Zimo in confusion. This storage bag was actually filled to the brim with spirit weapons, densely packed together. There were also countless bottles and jars of miraculous elixirs. Not only that, Nianqi even caught sight of Su Zimo's blood quencher, coiling dragon seal, moon concealment bow, black gold arrows and 27 supreme-grade flying swords that shone with lightning. There are more than 12,000 superior-grade spirit weapons, 432 supreme-grade spirit weapons, 21 perfect-grade spirit weapons, 5 connate spirit weapons and 100,800 elixirs. Su Zimo said, "When you return to the sect, bring this storage bag back and hand it to Senior Crane as well." Most of the weapons were obtained from Glass Palace's faction when he first entered the ancient battlefield. Ah! Nianqi was a little stunned and could not react in time. Su Zimo explained, "I'm about to advance to the nascent soul realm. Although these weapons are precious, they're no longer of use to me." After the battle at Misty Peak, the other 4 major sects suffered great losses and Senior Crane has advanced to the Dharma characteristic realm as well. The rise of Misty Peak is inevitable and we're lacking these things. That was a huge sum of money. Everyone's eyeballs would pop out if they knew that Su Zimo had given away so many spirit weapons and elixirs so easily. That was not only a massive amount of weapons and elixirs, there were also 5 connate spirit weapons. Even the foundation of the upper aristocratic families could not compare to that. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that with Su Zimo's current ability and the treasures he possessed, it was enough to establish his own sect. Misty Peak had been established for thousands of years and was considered a major sect in the Great Zhou dynasty. However, it was nothing in the North region and Tianhuang mainland. Compared to the 108 upper sects, Misty Peak paled in comparison, let alone the other supersections. If they could get their hands on these spiritual tools and pills, they would be of great help to Misty Peak. Nianqi was disappointed. He frowned and asked, "Young master, don't you plan to go back?" Su Zimo had a complicated look on his face as he said, "I can't go back to the sect for now." His relationship with Glass Palace was already like fire and water. Returning to the sect would only bring disaster to Misty Peak. In truth, he had already predicted today's situation the moment he declared war on Glass Palace. With Su Hong's death, he no longer had any attachments in the mortal world and was prepared to leave the North region. Tianhuang mainland was boundless and it was a good opportunity for him to head out and train. At the very least, he had to have the strength to kill Xuanyu Daoren by the time he returned to the North region. Back in the Battle of the Great Qian Ruins, Xuanyu Daoren sent him down the Dragon Burial Valley. Subsequently, Su Hong's death and the destruction of Yan country were all related to Xuanyu Daoren. Coupled with the grudge of his wrist and core being shattered, there was no way Su Zimo would let this man off. Nianqi sighed gently. Actually, Master had already expected this. She said that given your character, you'll definitely not return because you're worried about implicating us. Su Zimo was silent. A moment later, he said slowly, "However, I'll definitely return one day. I'll return with my head held high." Misty Peak treated him well and so did the people of Misty Peak. Otherwise, Su Zimo would not have been so generous as to give away all the spirit weapons, elixirs, blood quencher and coiling dragon seal that he had collected. Yes. Nianqi nodded. Master also said that Misty Peak will get stronger and stronger. One day, the sect will be able to protect its disciples so that they won't have to flee. 20 years ago, if they had not sensed that the sect was about to be destroyed, would the sect masters have allowed paragons like Little Fatty and Ji Qingtian to leave? Blood Quencher and Coiling Dragon Seal are both in your storage bag. What are you going to use, young master? If you meet Diin again without a weapon, wouldn't it be dangerous? Nian Qi was a little worried. Su Zimo's gaze was dark. If I meet Diin again, I'll be able to kill him with my bare hands. That was not an exaggeration. Without many restrictions, Su Zimo's inner core and Jin Dan could be released at the same time. With his many trump cards, he would be able to suppress Diin even with his bare hands. As for weapons, Su Zimo still had the bronze square tripod and mystic magnet mountain in his storage bag. Those two weapons alone could match up to millions of divine weapons. Furthermore, the rewards for the Jin Dan phenomenon ranking would be released in a few days. If he was lucky, he might even obtain a dermic weapon that was suitable for him. Nian Qi pondered for a moment and asked, "Where do you intend to head to in the future, young master?" Su Zimo replied, "I haven't decided yet." In reality, Su Zimo, Monkey, Ling Hu, and the others already had a general direction for the past few days. They wanted to make use of the ancient battlefield to leave the north region and explore the demon region of Tianhuang mainland. Su Zimo's identity was sensitive and countless people had their eyes on him after the battle in Myriad Phenomenon City. If he brought Monkey and the other demon beasts with sinister demonic chi into the cultivation world, they would attract even more trouble. The best solution was to enter the demon region. After cultivating their essence spirits in the demon region, Monkey, Ling Hu, and the others would evolve into fiend demons and be able to retract their demonic chi. It would be difficult for them to be discovered when they entered the cultivation world. Monkey and Ling Hu had spent 20 years in Wild Lion Ridge, one of the 8 demon regions. They even obtained 2 slots to enter the ancient battlefield and had a lot of experience. Now that the 7 of them were together, it would not be difficult for them to make a name for themselves in the demon region. Monkey was extremely excited about this, let alone the others. His dream was to rule over a region and take over a mountain. In the blink of an eye, a month passed. During this period of time, many cultivators recuperated in Myriad Phenomenon City and their injuries were mostly healed. The injuries of the severely injured stabilized as well. This day, Lin Xuanji came looking for him with a smile. "Brother Su, let's go. The ancient phenomenon stele is opening today. Let's see what the rewards for the top of the phenomenon ranking are." "Alright," Su Zimo's eyes lit up as he nodded, looking forward to it. Many cultivators came out of their seclusion grounds and headed towards the Myriad Phenomenon Mountain. Although only cultivators on the phenomenon ranking would be rewarded, many cultivators wanted to join in the fun and see if there would be any connate dermic weapons or heaven-grade cultivation techniques. Perfected Lord Yu Jun, Perfected Lord Luo Shua and Monk Yin Lu had already arrived at the Myriad Phenomenon Mountain. After a month, Perfected Lord Luo Shua and Monk Yin Lu's wounds had already healed and there would not be any latent problems in the future. However, the impact of Perfected Lord Yu Jun losing an arm was way too great. Unless he could cultivate to the conjoint body realm, there was no hope of regrowing his severed limb. The conjoint body realm was way too far away. Every step on the path of cultivation was difficult and dangerous, any mistake could lead to death. Throughout history, who could guarantee that they would reach the conjoint body realm? "Cultivators on the phenomenon ranking, come and receive your rewards from me." Perfected Lord Yu Jun's voice was still weak. The loss of an arm was way too damaging to his body. Only cultivators in the top 10 of the phenomenon ranking were qualified to choose treasures from the ancient phenomenon stele. The other cultivators would be rewarded by Enigma Palace. Chapter 788. The Jin Dan phenomenon ranking this time round was different from the previous ones. More than half of the cultivators on the ranking were dead. Apart from some weapons and cultivation techniques, the remaining cultivators obtained quite a number of soul-nourishing blood ginsengs as well. After advancing to the nascent soul realm and cultivating an essence spirit, they would have to consume such spirit refinement items. A moment later, Su Zimo, Ming Zhen, Peng Yu and a few other top 10 cultivators of the phenomenon ranking arrived at the foot of the Myriad Phenomenon Mountain. Perfected Lord Yu Jun took a deep breath of air and conjured a series of mysterious hand seals. Finally, he extended his index finger and touched his glabella gently. His glabella shone and released a spirit consciousness fluctuation that landed on the ancient phenomenon steel. Boom! The ancient steel shook violently, as though it was about to be uprooted from the ground. Immediately after, the ancient phenomenon steel emitted beams of light that shone on Su Zimo and the others. It was blurry and chaotic. It was a mysterious feeling. Su Zimo could sense that the ancient phenomenon steel seemed to have come alive. It was as though there was a life form that had just awakened within the ancient steel and was looking at him. A mysterious power swept through every single corner of his body like flowing water, gentle and delicate. It was as though the life form wanted to see through Su Zimo completely. The others were experiencing the same thing. However, before long, the beams of light on Ming Zhen and the others dissipated and one or two shimmering items appeared above each of their heads. An ancient lamp with a mottled bronze color hovered above Ming Zhen's head. The fire within the lamp was extinguished a long time ago. However, the lamp emitted a mysterious glow. Beside the ancient lamp was a yellow scroll. A green lamp and a yellow scroll. The yellow scroll was definitely a cultivation technique or secret skill. However, no one could tell what grade it was or what its contents were. However, 6 patterns could be vaguely seen on the green lamp. A connate dermic weapon. Many cultivators gripped their fists with blazing gazes. Everyone was tempted by the appearance of a connate dermic weapon. However, everyone knew that although the young monk Ming Zhen seemed ignorant of the ways of the world, nobody could touch him at all. Right now, he could be considered as a disciple of Dipankara Monastery and had the protection of Monk Yin Lu. Furthermore, he was one of Su Zimo's subordinates. Even without these, Ming Zhen's own strength was enough to intimidate everyone present. Good, good, good. Monk Yin Lu nodded repeatedly. This green lamp was perfect for Ming Zhen, and that yellow scroll didn't look like an ordinary item either. A sheathed sword and a sword manual appeared above Dugu Jian's head. A pitch-black sword hilt and a pitch-black scabbard. If one did not look carefully, they would have mistaken it for a black stick. It seems to be 6 mystical patterns. As expected, it's another connate dermic weapon. The rewards for the phenomenon ranking this time round are way too generous. 2 connate dermic weapons have already appeared. In the past, it was already considered good if a connate dermic weapon appeared among the rewards of the phenomenon ranking. Quick, look at that spear above Pang Yu's head. Hiss. Another connate dharma treasure. Unlike Ming Zhen and Dugu Jian, Pang Yu's reward was not a cultivation technique or secret skill, only a weapon. Even so, it was enough to make others envious. Ha 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 ha. Pang Yu laughed heartily as he reached out and grabbed the spear above his head. With the great spear in hand, Pang Yu's body sank. It was so heavy. The spear was more than 30 feet long and its tip shone with a cold glint with 2 blades. A series of mysterious patterns were etched on the body of the spear and were one with the tip. It was domineering. Ordinary cultivators would not be able to wield such a heavy and clumsy spear. It was only suitable for a tall and strong cultivator like Pang Yu to wield it. 3 connate dermic weapons had appeared consecutively and many cultivators looked towards Su Zimo instinctively. Strange. Why hasn't the light on Su Zimo dissipated yet? Su Zimo's eyes were tightly shut and he did not move at all. The water current released by the ancient phenomenon steel brushed past his body time after time. Su Zimo had a hallucination that the life form within the ancient phenomenon steel seemed to be trying its best to investigate his body and uncover the secrets within. However, it could not do anything about it. An unknown period of time passed. Finally, the light on Su Zimo's body dissipated gradually. 2 items appeared above his head as well. However, both of them looked ancient and did not emit any light. One of them was an ancient book. It should be some sort of cultivation technique or secret skill that no one could tell for sure. The other item was a bare green lotus platform that was extremely dark without any patterns. It was so tattered that no one would touch it even if it was tossed to the side of the road. What's that? I don't know. There are no dermic patterns on it either. It's probably some trash. 3 connate dermic weapons have already appeared. The rewards for the phenomenon ranking this time round are already extraordinary. There's no way anything good will appear. Su Zimo's luck is really bad. Many cultivators discussed softly. That doesn't make sense. Lin Xuanji glared at the 2 items in midair and frowned, murmuring softly, back at the astral dragon sputum lair, that lad snatched away quite a number of dragon veins and was blessed with providence. That can't be it, right? Could it be that the technique is too shocking? Curious, Lin Xuanji closed in and asked softly, what's that cultivation technique? Su Zimo took the ancient book in midair and flipped it open gently. On the first page, there were 5 words, Great Day Rulai Sutra. Lin Xuanji was shocked when he saw those words. Su Zimo's pupils constricted slightly as well. As the successor of Enigma Palace, Lin Xuanji was knowledgeable and naturally knew of the origin of that cultivation technique. Su Zimo had been in seclusion at the bottom of the Dragon Burial Valley for 20 years. As the head of both Fahua and Daming monasteries, he chanted sutras daily and comprehended the Tao and Zen. He knew quite a bit about the Buddhist monasteries. In the ancient era, when the cultivation civilization was just established, the Buddhist monasteries had yet to be split into the various sects and factions of the future. The Great Day Rulai Sutra was a secret manual of the ancient Buddhist monasteries and was a heaven-grade cultivation technique for spirit refinement. It was said that when this cultivation technique was cultivated to its limits, one could conjure the supreme Dharma characteristic of the Buddhist monasteries, the Rulai Dharmic body. Every single move could destroy the world and subdue fiends. Su Zimo kept the secret manual of the Buddhist monasteries in his storage bag without batting an eyelid. Even if other heaven-grade cultivation techniques were exposed, they would definitely attract the covetous gazes of many cultivators, let alone the Great Day Rulai Sutra. Right now, including the Purple Thunder manual in his storage bag, Su Zimo already possessed 2 heaven-grade cultivation techniques for spirit refinement. With such unique conditions, his cultivation would definitely yield twice the results with half the effort once he advanced to the nascent soul realm. Su Zimo raised his head and looked at the tattered green lotus platform in midair with a slight frown. He was the number 1 of the phenomenon ranking, and the ancient phenomenon steel would not throw out a random piece of trash. However, he could not tell what was strange about the green lotus platform. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat and he looked at the 3 Jinying Jinjuan not far away instinctively. Perfected Lord Yujun looked at Monk Yin Lu at the side and said in a deep voice, if I'm not wrong, this green lotus platform should be that legendary item, right? It should be, Monk Yin Lu nodded with a grim expression. Chapter 789. Su Zimo asked, may I ask, seniors, what is that? Creation Qingmian. Monk Yin Lu spat out those words. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. There were only a few words about the creation Qinglian in the sutra chamber at the bottom of the Dragon Burial Valley. Su Zimo only knew that the creation Qinglian was once an emperor weapon of the Buddhist monasteries. Emperor weapons were the destiny dermic treasures of emperors and possessed the might and might of emperors. They were much stronger than the dermic treasures of Mahayana patriarchs. However, how could a legendary emperor weapon look like this? The lotus platform was old and dim without any life. It was bare without a single petal. Monk Yin Lu explained when he saw the confusion in Su Zimo's eyes, the creation Qinglian in your hands has already withered. That's why it's in such a state. Withered? The confusion in Su Zimo's eyes deepened. How could weapons wither? Monk Yin Lu continued, the creation Qinglian requires the nourishment of one's essence spirit in order to be rejuvenated and grow new petals and lotus seeds. Legend has it that there are 9 grades to the creation Qinglian. The highest grade is the grade 9 creation Qinglian. Of course, it's also said that the highest grade is grade 12. Pausing for a moment, Monk Yin Lu shook his head. Of course, It doesn't matter whether it's grade 9 or 12. That's because the highest grade of the creation Qinglian in Tianhuang mainland is only grade 8. What's the grade of this lotus platform now? Su Zimo could not help but ask. There's no grade. Monkey Lu chuckled. Ugh. Su Zimo chuckled as well when he heard that. Since the creation Qinglian had already withered, how could it have a grade? What's the meaning of a grade? How are they divided? Su Zimo was filled with doubts and asked once more. Creation. Qinglian will be nourished by the primordial spirit and will be filled with vitality. When she reaches her limit, she will seize a creation and undergo a reincarnation. Monkey Lu explained, the so-called grade is based on how many times Qinglian has reincarnated. After one reincarnation, it will grow a layer of 9 Qinglian petals and 9 lotus seeds, and it will become a grade 1 creation Qinglian. When the first grade Qinglian grows to its peak, it will undergo a second reincarnation. The lotus platform will grow a second layer of petals, add 9 more lotus seeds, and so on. Su Zimo roughly understood. The easiest way to determine the grade of the green lotus of creation from its appearance was to see how many layers of petals it had. The 9th grade creation Qinglian would have 9 layers of petals. He could imagine that the layers of petals would be arranged tightly with the smallest petals. The more they bloomed outwards, the larger the petals would be. Pondering for a moment, Monkey Lu continued, if the creation Qinglian can reach grade 4, it will be comparable to a Khanate perfected Lord Dermic weapon. If it can reach grade 5, it will be comparable to a Khanate void reversion Dermic weapon. The green lotus of creation itself has many mysterious and profound powers that even Khanate Dermic artifacts can't compare to. Even Khanate Dermic weapons could not compare to it. That was a high evaluation. Su Zimo looked at the tattered green lotus platform in his palm and his heart burned. This was even more precious than a Khanate Dermic weapon. Heis. Right then, Monkey Lu suddenly sighed. Actually, it's unknown whether this creation Qinglian is a blessing or a curse for you. Su Zimo was stunned. How could there be a curse for a treasure as such? Monkey Lu said, if the creation Qinglian wants to grow, it needs the nourishment of one's essence spirit. However, the amount of essence spirit power it requires is immense and no one can withstand it. Throughout history, the creation Qinglian has been passed around a few times and at least 10 paragons have passed through it. However, most of them were burdened by it. Gradually, no one dared to touch it anymore. The fact that the Qinglian required the nourishment of one's essence spirit would definitely cause the cultivation of a cultivator to stagnate. That's the reason why the highest grade of the creation Qinglian in Tianhuang mainland is only grade 8. Monkey Lu continued, throughout history, the ancient Buddha emperor was the only one who relied on his unparalleled wisdom, determination, and boldness to nurture a grade 8 creation Qinglian. This is an emperor weapon recorded in the ancient books. Even with the Buddha emperor's strength, he did not dare to attempt to nurture a grade 9 one. Su Zimo had a calm expression. That was not something he was worried about. Right now, he possessed 2 heaven-grade cultivation techniques for spirit refinement, the Purple Thunder Manual and Great Day Rolai Sutra. Be it in terms of cultivation speed or purity of his essence spirit, they were unparalleled throughout history. Su Zimo refused to believe that he could not nurture the creation Qinglian with the augmentation of 2 heaven-grade cultivation techniques. The reason why the creation Qinglian is so mysterious is because it's not something from Tianhuang mainland, perfected Lord Yujun said slowly, legend has it that it came from the immortal world. Initially, Su Zimo was still thinking about how to nurture the creation Qinglian when he heard the words immortal world. His heart skipped a beat and he raised his head, asking, what immortal world? Where is it? How do I get there? This was the first time Su Zimo heard the words immortal world. The first thing he thought of was Daiyu. Before Daiyu left, she said that they were not from the same world. As Su Zimo cultivated along the way, he gradually understood that Daiyu should have headed to an even more majestic world. There was a high chance that this world was the legendary and illusory immortal world. Perfected Lord Yujun shook his head with a bitter smile. How can a cultivator of my level come into contact with where the immortal world is and how to get there? Su Zimo gradually calmed down and realized that his question was a little abrupt. Immortal world is merely a name given by the immortal sections. As though he could read Su Zimo's mind, Perfected Lord Yujun explained further, people of the fiend sects call it the fiend world while those of the Buddhist monasteries call it paradise. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. In that case, wouldn't the demon race call it the demon world? In any case, there's definitely a world like that outside of Tianhuang mainland. A world where experts are everywhere and immortals and fiends roam freely. As for what it's called, there are different opinions and some people refer to it as the upper world. Legend has it that a portion of the ancient emperors have entered the upper world as well. When he heard that, Su Zimo's heart thumped uncontrollably. Su Zimo gulped and tried his best to compose himself before asking slowly, "Senior, may I ask if you've heard of something like the Great Wilderness in the upper world?" Great Wilderness? After pondering carefully, Perfected Lord Yujun shook his head with a lost expression. Su Zimo was relieved. Perfected Lord Yujun's cultivation was only at nascent soul realm. Even if he knew some rumors about the immortal world, they might only be hearsay and there was no way he could come into contact with them. Su Zimo believed that as his cultivation realm increased, he would know more secrets. He would get closer to Daiyu. This Qinglian is a creation of heaven and earth and possesses unfathomable powers. You must be careful if you want to refine her with your essence spirit. Perfected Lord Yujun reminded, if you discover that something is amiss, you must abandon her immediately without hesitation. Otherwise, it'll be too late for regrets when you're burdened by her. Thank you for your reminder, Senior. Su Zimo thanked him but his mind was filled with legends of the immortal world. Chapter 790. Zimo, there are some soul-nourishing blood ginsengs in this storage bag. Keep them well. Perfected Lord Yujun handed over another storage bag and Su Zimo did not decline. All cultivators on the phenomenon ranking were rewarded with soul-nourishing blood ginsengs. The higher their ranking, the more they would receive. There were more than 10,000 soul-nourishing blood ginsengs in the storage bag that was given to Mingzhen earlier on. If nothing went wrong, that many soul-nourishing blood ginsengs would be enough for Mingzhen to cultivate to the void reversion realm. That was also one of the reasons why many paragons wanted to leave their names on the phenomenon ranking. The rewards were truly tempting. Su Zimo opened the storage bag and scanned it briefly. He could not help but be shocked with a look of surprise in his eyes. There were way too many soul-nourishing blood ginsengs in the storage bag. At a glance, there were at least 600,000 to 700,000 of them. Su Zimo furrowed his brows slightly. Even if the number one of the phenomenon ranking had the most rewards, it was definitely not to this extent. This, Su Zimo looked at Perfected Lord Yujun. Just as he was about to speak, the latter's voice sounded in his mind. Zimo, there's no need to decline. You deserve these soul-nourishing blood ginsengs as well. Perfected Lord Yujun sent a voice transmission. If not for your help in the Paragon catastrophe this time round, not many of the cultivators in the city would have survived, let alone these external items. Those demon beast friends of yours are not bad as well. They're heroic and righteous. We have to thank them for their help this time round as well. They can use the soul-nourishing blood ginsengs for their cultivation as well. There's a portion for them as well. After forming a core, demons would cultivate their essence spirits as well. However, in the language of the demon race, it was known as the Yin spirit. Perfected Lord Yujun continued, furthermore, if you want to give birth to the creation Qinglian, these soul-nourishing blood ginsengs might not even be enough for you to absorb. Su Zimo nodded and put away the storage bag. Coupled with the spirit-gathering fruit and soul-nourishing blood ginsengs that he had collected previously, he would have sufficient cultivation resources for a period of time at the very least. Perfected Lord Yujun asked, Zimo, what do you plan to do next? I haven't thought about it yet, Su Zimo replied ambiguously. He had long decided to head to one of the 8 demon regions. However, it was not appropriate for him to tell Perfected Lord Yujun. Perfected Lord Yujun had a conflicted expression. In truth, in the depths of his heart, he wanted to invite Su Zimo to Enigma Palace. However, Su Zimo's identity. Although Su Zimo had turned the tides in the Battle of Myriad Phenomenon City and saved many paragons, establishing an unparalleled reputation, his identity would forever be questioned. That 100 feet tall figure with a monstrous ferocious aura, like that of an ancient demon king, had already been deeply imprinted in the minds of many cultivators, and it was difficult to erase. The humanoid monster that let out a dragon's roar and had green scales all over its body was also remembered by people. Is that head? Is Su? Blood chi? Is blood? Is blood is not blood. Are bones is bone bones. Even if he claimed that Su Zimo was human, how many people would believe him? At the end of the day, Perfected Lord Yujun was only a perfected lord in Enigma Palace. He could not make the decision to invite Su Zimo to join Enigma Palace. Or rather, there was no faction in the cultivation world that would dare to protect Su Zimo. That lad possessed great treasures. He had already offended super sects such as Glass Palace and Zephyr Thunder Palace. From this day forth, this young man's situation in the cultivation world was going to be even more dangerous. Perfected Lord Yujun gazed at the peak of the Myriad Phenomenon Peak with a distant gaze and said meaningfully, "Everything will change if you manage to ascend to the peak one day." Monkey Lu could naturally tell Su Zimo's predicament as well and sent a voice transmission. He merely said 2 words, Demon Region. The Demon Region was the only place where he could avoid the dangers of the cultivation world for the time being. That was the most suitable path for Su Zimo right now. Su Zimo merely nodded without batting an eyelid. After the rewards were distributed, many cultivators dispersed gradually as well. Most of the sects and factions chose to continue staying in Myriad Phenomenon City. 3 months later, everyone would return to Tianhuang mainland when the spatial node of the ancient battlefield reopened. Su Zimo, Monkey and the others had already decided to leave. Su Zimo went to see Demoness Ji first and handed the Great Qian Imperial Seal to her. "Help me bring this back and pass it to Yaoxue." The Great Qian Imperial Seal was not only a Khanate spirit weapon, it had an even more important meaning. The moment he obtained the spirit weapon, Su Zimo intended to pass it to Yaoxue. "Is there anything else?" "Nothing else," a fragrance wafted over. Demoness Ji inched forward and stuck close to Su Zimo with an unfriendly expression. "Don't you have anything to give me?" Su Zimo smiled bitterly. He truly did not have anything. Su Zimo knew that he was in the wrong and turned to leave, vanishing in the blink of an eye. "Coward! Are you afraid that I'll eat you up?" Demoness Ji stomped her feet and harumphed. "Xiaoning, return to Elixir Yang sect with the sect. I'll get going first. If there's a chance, I'll visit you." Su Zimo came to bid farewell to Xiaoning. "Yes," Xiaoning nodded and lowered her head, as though she had something on her mind. "What's wrong?" Su Zimo asked. "I want to pay my respects to my first brother." After a moment of silence, Xiaoning finally said. Su Zimo wanted to reject her immediately. However, when he saw the sorrow in Xiaoning's eyes, he realized that if this mortal bond was not severed, it would forever be a knot in Xiaoning's heart. Wasn't it the same for him in the past as well? However, it was way too dangerous for Xiaoning to head to the North region alone. Su Zimo was worried. If he were to accompany Xiaoning back, it would be even more dangerous. "I'll accompany her back." Right then, Night Spirit's voice sounded. His tone was calm, as though he was talking about something insignificant. Su Zimo felt his heart lighten. He believed that nothing would happen to Xiaoning if Night Spirit accompanied her. However, the 7 of them had just become sworn siblings and had not reunited for long. Now that they were going to be separated, everyone felt a little reluctant. "I can't go with my brothers either." Right then, Golden Lion said softly with an embarrassed expression. Ah. Linghu jumped up and asked, "Where are you going?" "Don't worry, I won't bully you in the future. I don't care if you're called Yellow Hair or anything like that. Can't I just call you Seven?" "No." Golden Lion's expression turned even more uneasy as he waved his hands hurriedly. I have a friend in Wild Lion Ridge." A friend. I have to go back and meet her. I can't just leave without saying goodbye." "Friend?" Linghu's eyes lit up. Monkey teased, "A lover, right?" "Ha!" Golden Lion scratched his head and chuckled without denying it. Initially, Linghu, Qing Qing and the others were sad because of the separation with Night Spirit. However, when they heard that, their eyes burned with the flames of gossip. "Hurry and tell us, what's going on between the two of you? What's the name of your lover? Is she pretty? How long have the two of you been together? Why haven't I heard you mention it before?" A series of questions were thrown at him and Golden Lion's face flushed red. He said with a bashful expression, "Pretty, of course she's pretty." Pausing for a moment, Golden Lion mustered his courage and said, "Her name is Cacao. In my eyes, there's no one better than her in this world." Phew, Monkey and the others booed and burst into laughter. Su Zimo stood at the side and smiled quietly as he watched Monkey and the others bicker, feeling a sense of warmth in his heart. He was about to embark on a new journey. Thankfully, he was not going alone. Chapter 791. After leaving Myriad Phenomenon City, Su Zimo and the others parted ways with Night Spirit and Golden Lion. Su Zimo, Monkey, Linghu, Qing Qing and Little Fox set off on their journey once more. There were as many as 8 demon regions and they were also among the super factions of Tianhuang mainland. That was the reason why there was a saying that there were 9 immortal sects and 8 demon regions. However, of the 8 demon regions, 3 of them were not on the continent but in the outer seas. Tianhuang mainland was split into 4 regions, 3 seas and 1 continent. The 4 regions referred to the north, south, east and west regions. The 1 continent referred to the middle continent. The 3 seas referred to the outer seas that surrounded the north, south, east and west of Tianhuang mainland. The underwater world was extremely vast and was said to be countless times larger than the continent. Many ancient living beings were unheard of and there were even primordial life forms living in the depths of the sea. Given their current cultivation realms, they had yet to condense an essence spirit. Even if they could enter, they would not be able to adapt. The 5 of them were considered as terrestrial living beings. Even if they were at nascent soul realm and cultivated an essence spirit, their combat strength would be greatly reduced in the deep sea. Those 3 demon regions were eliminated first. Among the 5 of them, perhaps Su Zimo was the only one who would not be affected by entering the deep sea. Before entering the astral dragon sputum lair, everyone dived to the bottom of the lake and engaged in a huge battle. Su Zimo's combat strength was not affected at all in the deep sea. At that time, he could not figure it out. It was only during this period of recuperation in Myriad Phenomenon City that a terrifying guess gradually surfaced in Su Zimo's mind as he recalled everything that happened. His illumination eye was imparted to him by the red-headed ghost at the bottom of the Dragon Burial Valley. However, when the Protoss leader saw the visual technique, he called it the Illumination Dragon Eye. It was a secret skill of dragons. Back at the bottom of the Dragon Burial Valley, he asked the red-headed ghost for the name of the visual technique but the latter had an odd expression and did not explain in detail. Su Zimo was more inclined towards the words of the Protoss leader. However, the problem was, how could he cultivate a secret skill of dragons? There was also the problem of the ancient Dragonification Manual. He had released the ancient Dragonification Manual several times and a lifelike divine dragon would appear beside him. But this time, his body actually underwent a terrifying transformation. Back at the bottom of the Dragon Burial Valley, Su Zimo had experienced a similar feeling when he was cultivating as a demon. His skin felt itchy, as though something was about to grow out. But when he looked carefully, there was nothing. At that time, he didn't care. Unexpectedly, this time, dragon scales directly grew out of his body. Was it just because he swallowed half a dragon egg in the Dragon Bone Valley? Su Zimo did not believe it. If it was because of the half-dragon egg, why wasn't there such a shocking change when he unleashed the ancient dragonification skill before entering the Dragon Burial Valley? If it wasn't that half a dragon egg, then what was the reason? A series of images flashed through Su Zimo's mind. He recalled the red-headed ghost's shadow. He recalled the bowl of spirit water that the red-headed ghost gave him every month. That spiritual water, Su Zimo's eyes narrowed as his gaze flickered. No one knew better than him just how much energy was contained in the spirit water. It was because of the bowl of spirit water every month that he was able to cultivate the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness at the bottom of the Dragon Burial Valley and recover his shattered inner core. Now that he thought about it, that was most likely not spirit water, but blood. The blood of dragons. Only drinking the blood of dragons for 20 years could bring about such a huge change to his body such that he could conjure half a dragon. Perhaps, the bloodline of dragons was the only thing that could recover his shattered inner core to its original state. It was because he possessed the bloodline of dragons that he was able to cultivate the secret skill of dragons, the Illumination Dragon Eye. It was also because of the bloodline of dragons that his combat strength was not affected after entering the water. Dragons were adept at summoning rain and clouds to begin with. Even if they entered the depths of the sea, they could overturn rivers and seas, let alone lakes. In that case, the identity of the red-headed ghost was worth pondering about. Could it be that the red-headed ghost is a dragon? A bold thought flashed through Su Zimo's mind and he was shocked by it. What was the background of a dragon wrapped in chains in the backyard at the bottom of the Dragon Burial Valley? Su Zimo could not help but recall the catastrophe 10,000 years ago. However, if the red-headed ghost was truly the dragon of the catastrophe, there were many things that he could not understand. "Young master, what are you thinking about?" Little Fox could not help but ask when she saw Su Zimo frowning and not advancing. "Nothing," Su Zimo shook his head and suppressed those thoughts for the time being. Unless he asked the old monk and the red-headed ghost personally, his conclusion would only be his own conjecture. After eliminating the 3 outer seas demon regions, the north region was eliminated as well. Apart from the threat of Glass Palace, Su Zimo was also worried about the Dragon Bone Valley. The Dragon Bone Valley was one of the 9 forbidden grounds. The eruption of the bloodline of dragons in his body might alert the existence of the Dragon Bone Valley and cause quite a bit of trouble. After eliminating the north region, there were not many choices left. The South region, East region, West region and the 4 demon regions of the Middle Continent. No matter which demon region we enter, the first thing we should do is hide and not cause any trouble. It was rare for Linghu to retract his playful expression as he said sternly, "The demon regions are filled with beasts and ferocious birds. There are dangers everywhere and we're at the bottom of the hierarchy. Only by cultivating a Yin spirit and becoming a low-level fiend demon can we protect ourselves to a certain extent." The low-level fiend demons that Linghu mentioned were equivalent to the Jinying Jinjuan of the cultivation world. If they were to become fiend demons, even if they were low-level fiend demons, they would be able to dominate a place like Zhanglang Mountain Range. However, they could barely protect themselves in the 8 demon regions. "Are there factions in the demon regions as well?" Qing asked. Among the 5 of them, Monkey and Linghu were the only ones who had spent time in the demon regions and knew more about them. When he heard Qing's question, Linghu was invigorated and replied hurriedly, "There are many factions in the demon regions as well. The strong preys on the weak and the hierarchy is strict. If we can cultivate to mid-level fiend demons, we'll be able to gather some lesser demons and take over a mountain as kings." Monkey's eyes lit up and he licked his lips when he heard the words "take over a mountain as kings." Monkey had an almost fanatical obsession with being the king of a mountain. For example, mid-level fiend demons can possess a territory of their own and have many lesser and low-level fiend demons as subordinates. In the demon regions, they are known as territorial lords. Mid-level fiend demons were equivalent to void reversions of the cultivation world. Linghu continued, if we can become high-level fiend demons, will be amazing. Every single high-level fiend demon in the demon regions is an overlord of a region. All the territorial lords within their jurisdiction have to obey their orders and are not to be disobeyed. High-level fiend demons were equivalent to the Dharma Dao Jun of the cultivation world. At that point, be it Monkey or Linghu, their eyes shone with a hint of yearning. How glorious would it be to be able to become an overlord of a region and command demons in the demon regions? Su Zimo asked, mid-level fiend demons are known as territorial lords and high-level fiend demons are known as overlords. What's after high-level fiend demons? Above high-level fiend demons are great demons, equivalent to conjoint body mighty figures of the human race. Great demons do not have any factions or territories. However, if they can become a great demon, they will be unrestrained and can do whatever they want in the demon regions. Linghu said enviously, when a great demon appears, even an overlord will have to bow down and obey his orders obediently. Chapter 792. There were still 3 months before the ancient battlefield would be sealed. During this period of time, Su Zimo, Monkey and the others roamed the battlefield wantonly, trying their best to gather soul-nourishing blood ginsengs. The 5 of them had cultivated to the peak of their core formation. After entering the nascent soul realm, they had to consume soul-nourishing blood ginsengs to raise their cultivation realms and refine their essence spirits. Naturally, the more soul-nourishing blood ginsengs the better. The so-called nascent soul referred to the infant formed by the essence spirit. How was the essence spirit cultivated? There was an ancient saying that one could see the spirit after breaking through the voids. The spirit referred to the essence spirit. What was the voids? How did one break through the voids? The location of the essence spirit was the most mysterious region in the brain. It was located in the depths of the glabella, known as the Niwen Palace or the Spirit Platform. It was a secret realm that the human body could not reach. Legend has it that the 3 souls and 7 spirits of living beings were within. Prior to this, no matter how cultivators cultivated, it was difficult for them to reach the spirit platform. There was a barrier between the spirit platform and the human body. That barrier was the so-called voids. Breaking through the voids was to break through that barrier. When one's core formation was perfected and their power of core formation was cultivated to its limits, they could attempt to break through the barrier under the control of their consciousness. If they could break through the barrier, they would arrive at the spirit platform. The 3 souls and 7 spirits of living beings were formless to begin with. They were merely a ball of light that was void. After breaking through the voids and the Jin Dan charged into the spirit platform, a phenomenon of light filling the entire room and turning white would occur. When the 3 souls and 7 spirits fused with it, a tangible object would be formed. For example, a newborn infant would be known as a nascent soul. That was also the essence spirit. The human body was the most mysterious and formed a world of its own. The process of breaking through the voids and the Jin Dan's charge was the process of communicating with heaven and earth. Therefore, after condensing an essence spirit, cultivators would be able to mobilize the powers of heaven and earth and condense dharmic powers that were even more terrifying and powerful than spirit energy. However, Su Zimo's situation was different from others. Not only did he have the Jin Dan, he also had an inner core. Nobody knew what sort of changes would occur if he were to break through under such circumstances. Over the past 3 months, the 5 of them had encountered many battles, big and small. Some ferocious beasts and ancient creatures were blind. When they saw that there were only 5 of them, they wanted to surround and kill them to seize their treasures. However, they were defeated by them instead. In this world, there was nothing that could threaten the 5 of them. On this day, Su Zimo's group of 5 once again dispersed a group of attacking beasts, and began to organize and collect the spoils of war from the battlefield. Right now, there were more than 800,000 soul-nourishing blood ginseng in Su Zimo's storage bag. In my opinion, let's not waste our time looking for the soul-nourishing blood ginseng. Ling Hu picked up the storage pouches on the battlefield as he said, let's just rob them. With the skills of the 5 of us, won't we be able to snatch them all? I think so too. Qing Qing said snappily, these days, there are always some demonic beasts who want to take advantage of us. I think we should take the initiative and rob them. Su Zimo remained silent and shifted his gaze to the bottom of a small hill not far away. Young master, what are you looking at? Curious, Little Fox followed Su Zimo's gaze but saw nothing. There's a scoundrel who has been following us for 3 to 4 days without doing anything, Su Zimo said with a fake smile. Now, I'm curious about what he's trying to do. Ah, where is he? Little Fox asked with widened eyes. Su Zimo raised his head slightly and smiled. He's hiding beneath that hill. Monkey, Ling Hu, and Qing Qing looked over as well. Moving their feet, they gradually formed an encirclement with cold and unfriendly expressions. According to Su Zimo, someone had been following them for 3 to 4 days. However, they did not notice anything. It was clear that the person was rather capable. In truth, Su Zimo was curious as well. The person who was following them was extremely careful and his movements were light and almost undetectable. If not for the fact that Su Zimo cultivated the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness and had dragon blood flowing through his body and terrifying senses, he would not have been able to detect that person's tracks. More importantly, his spirit perception did not give him any warning. In other words, the person who was following them had no enmity towards them. That was also the reason why Su Zimo did not attack and kill the person right away. However, the person did not give up even after 3 to 4 days and continued following them from afar. That made Su Zimo impatient. Scoundrel, who are you? Come out and meet us. Ling Hu glared at the hill not far away and hollered majestically. In all fairness, even if the 3 of them were staring at the mountain, they would not have noticed that there was someone hiding in the mountain. But after a while, the pile of hills suddenly moved. The sand gradually collapsed and a hole the size of a washbasin appeared on the spot. Immediately after, a grayish demonic beast darted out of the hole. Everyone focused their gazes and was stunned. Little Fox opened her tiny mouth and murmured, "It's indeed a scoundrel." Su Zimo was slightly stunned as well before bursting into laughter. The demon beast was the size of a piglet and was covered in short gray fur. It had a long tail and its tiny eyes darted around with a sneaky expression. It was truly a gigantic rat. Brothers, please don't get angry. I'm a good friend of yours. The rat spoke in human language. Don't call me brother. Scoundrel, why are you following us? When Ling Hu caught sight of the rat, he felt as though he could slap it to death with a casual slap. Instantly, he was invigorated and hollered angrily. The rat shuddered in fright. Calm down, Master Hu. A pair of tiny paws hugged each other and the rat bowed repeatedly towards Monkey, Ling Hu, and Qing Qing, speaking in human language with a fawning smile. A few days ago, I chanced upon the few of you in action and was instantly stunned. That peerless demeanor was truly unforgettable. Monkey and Qing Qing did not have much of a reaction when they heard that. However, Ling Hu was extremely pleased and his face flushed red in high spirits. Scoundrel, that's rather pertinent of you. Ling Hu nodded and asked, just now, who were you referring to when you mentioned peerless demeanor? The rat replied hurriedly, of course, it's Master Hu. Master Hu is truly brave and invincible with a torrential aura that can sweep through the 8 desolates unparalleled. Ling Hu was elated when he heard that but he pretended to be reserved on the surface. Yes, you've got a good eye. Ugh. Qing Qing and Little Fox could no longer take it as they rolled their eyes and vomited non-stop. After all that nonsense, you still haven't said why you're following us. Monkey sneered and kicked the rat neither too hard nor too lightly. The rat rolled its eyes and said, the main reason why I'm following you brothers is because I can't forget your demeanor. If you continue being dishonest, I'll wring your head off and hang it on my waist so that you'll follow me forever. How about that? Monkey smirked. The rat shuddered and turned obedient instantly, smiling awkwardly. I want to invite you guys to my territory. I believe that you guys will definitely be able to establish a hegemony given your capabilities. Suzumo's heart skipped a beat as he asked, where's your territory? Thousand Demon Valley of the Middle Continent. The rat replied. Chapter 793. Monkey, the Linghu, and Ching Ching looked at Suzumo with questioning gazes. Suzumo's expression was unchanged as he asked, you're merely a spirit demon. Why do you have a territory? Of course, it's not my territory, the rat explained hurriedly. The territory I'm in is called Howling Moon Mountain and the territorial lord is a wolf king who is forthright and hospitable. Given your capabilities, you'll definitely be put in an important position if you join Howling Moon Mountain. Suzumo remained silent. The rat felt uneasy and its eyes darted around, sneaking glances at the handsome green-robed man not far away. After a few days of stalking, it could naturally tell that the green-robed man was the leader of the group. Although Monkey and the tiger beside it were ferocious, the green-robed man looked even more frightening and unfathomable in its heart. Although the rat's combat strength was ordinary, it was rather capable. Otherwise, it would not have been sent into the ancient battlefield. One of its greatest capabilities was its stealth. In Thousand Demon Valley, even low-level fiend demons would not be able to detect its presence as long as it was careful. However, this green-robed man could see through its tracks with a single glance and there was nowhere for it to hide. What was even more frightening was that after a few days of observation, the rat discovered to its shock that it could not see through this person at all. Or rather, it did not even know if this person was a human or a demon. Alright, just as the rat was sweating profusely, Suzumo finally nodded slowly and agreed. If they wanted to leave the ancient battlefield and head to a demon region, they had to find a corresponding spatial node. Without anyone's help, searching for a spatial node with just the 5 of them was akin to searching for a needle in a haystack. They might not be able to find the right one either. The 5 of them had yet to decide which demon region they wanted to head to. Now that there was an opportunity before them, it would save them a lot of trouble if they followed this rat into Thousand Demon Valley. Thousand Demon Valley was located in the Middle Continent. The Middle Continent was the most prosperous region for cultivation and had the most super factions. Elixir Yang sect, Chiguramon and Tomb sect were all located in the Middle Continent. In the future, if Suzumo wanted to leave the demon region, it would be more convenient for him to visit his old friends such as Xiaoning and Little Fatty. As for whether or not he joined Howling Moon Mountain, it did not matter. When the 5 of them arrived at the demon region, the most important thing was to find a secluded and quiet place to break through their alchemy Dao. The 1-year deadline was approaching. In a hidden cave, several figures flashed past. At the front was a large rat. Behind it, there were 5 other figures. This spatial node of yours is too secretive. Linghu's voice sounded. Suzumo's group of 5 followed the rat as they took turns and twists in the cave, as if they were walking in a maze. It took them half an hour to reach their destination. In the void ahead, there was a vortex emitting demonic chi that shone with a dark glow. Brothers, follow me. The rat made a gesture and jumped in, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The little fox looked a little nervous. They were about to head into an extremely unfamiliar environment. If it weren't for Suzumo accompanying her, she would have already panicked. Don't be afraid. Suzumo tugged at the little fox's wrist gently and exchanged glances with Monkey and the others before leaping into the vortex. As the few figures disappeared, the vortex paused for a moment before dissipating gradually and the void returned to calmness. The world spun. Everyone felt as though they were shuttling through a dark tunnel. They could not control their bodies, had no sense of direction and could not feel the flow of time. Their chests felt stuffy and extremely uncomfortable. The little fox could not see anything around her. However, she could feel a broad and warm palm gripping her wrist tightly without letting go. The little fox's heart gradually calmed down. An unknown period of time passed. Suddenly, the suffocating feeling vanished and a fresh scent of vegetation surged into their nostrils. The shadows of the trees around them overlapped and a figure fell rapidly. Ouch! It was a tragic cry. A gigantic pit appeared on the ground. A rat sprawled inside and was disoriented from the fall with its tendons and bones cracking. Ha 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 ha! A series of mocking laughter could be heard from the surroundings. You're truly as dumb as a pig. Get up if you're not dead. A voice rang out, cursing and swearing. When it heard that voice, the rat shuddered in fright and cursed internally. However, it still squeezed out a smile and struggled to stand up, looking forward. Immediately after, a few more figures fell rapidly. Bang! 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 There were a few deafening sounds. Mud and grass splattered everywhere. Zimo, Monkey and the others stood up slowly with calm expressions. Before they landed on the ground, the few of them had already stabilized themselves with their strong physiques and shocking combat talent. Zimo's gaze shifted without a change in expression. Before he landed on the ground, he was already checking out his surroundings. This was an extremely ancient forest that was dark and sinister. The ancient trees at the side towered into the clouds and were even thicker than those in Sung Lang mountain range. One after another, dark green vines coiled around the trees. They were as thick as an arm and resembled pythons that were menacing and frightening. There were at least 100 demon beasts in this forest. Most of them were spirit demons at the Jin Dan realm. However, among them, 3 of the demon beasts had terrifying auras that were beyond the scope of spirit demons. If he was not wrong, there should be 3 fiend demons in the vicinity. 3 towering figures walked over from the front. All of them were dozens of feet tall and had terrifying auras. The people on the left and right were burly and massive. The person on the left had a bare chest and was covered in black fur. He had a human form and a bare head. He was a black bear that had cultivated into a demon. The person on the right was hairless but his skin was rough and his muscles bulged as though they were covered in rocks. There was even a gigantic horn protruding from his head. This was a rhinoceros that had cultivated into a demon. The person in the middle was skinny and had hands behind his back. He had a human form and a goat head with a pair of slightly curved goat horns. His cheeks were filled with wrinkles and he had a small goatee on his chin. His gaze was dark. This was a goat demon that had cultivated into a fiend demon. When the 3 of them arrived, they exclaimed softly when they caught sight of Zimo and the others. To think that the 3 lords under the Howling Moon Territorial Lord would welcome us personally. I'm truly flattered and blessed. The rat scrambled to his feet and scampered to the 3 fiend demons with a fawning expression. Yes, the 3 fiend demons nodded. The goat demon glared at Zimo and the others and frowned slightly, asking coldly, "Who are they?" He was already displeased when he saw Zimo and the other 4 standing there with their chests puffed up and calm expressions. They did not even come over to greet him. The world of the demon race had a strict hierarchy. Before fiend demons, spirit demons had to bow down and bow their heads. When the rat caught sight of the malevolent aura on the 3 of them, he was already secretly alarmed. However, he could not say it out loud and merely winked at Zimo and the others hurriedly. Now that he heard the goat demon's question, the rat's heart skipped a beat and he replied hurriedly, "My lord, I met these people in the ancient battlefield. Since they are capable, I invited them to join Howling Moon Mountain. Cough, they must be nervous since it's their first time here. Now that they've caught sight of the 3 lords, they must be stunned and did not come up to greet you." The rat added hurriedly and winked at Zimo and the others. Chapter 794. When he saw the look in Rat's eyes, Zimo knew that the latter had good intentions. After pondering for a moment, Zimo cupped his fists from afar and nodded slightly. "The 5 of us are sworn brothers from the North region. Greetings, sirs." He was neither servile nor overbearing. Who was Suzimo? The number 1 of the Jean Dan phenomenon ranking. The number 2 human emperor, the strongest monster incarnate in history. Dragon blood flowed through his body and he had once killed someone from the primordial 9 races domineeringly in Myriad Phenomenon City. Although the 3 of them were fiend demons, they were only low-level fiend demons and were equivalent to Jining Jinjuan of the human cultivators. In Suzimo's eyes, they were nothing much. This was the first time they met and he was already giving them a lot of face by cupping his fists and greeting them. What he was truly wary of was the Howling Moon Territorial Lord behind the 3 of them. Anyone who could become a Territorial Lord was at least a mid-level fiend demon and was equivalent to a void reversion. Their cultivation was 2 major cultivation realms above Suzimo. Furthermore, they were unfamiliar with Thousand Demon Valley. There was no need for them to get into a conflict with these factions the moment they arrived. The most important thing for the 5 of them was to settle down and familiarize themselves with their surroundings. They had to find a safe and secluded place to break through as soon as possible. When he saw Suzimo speak, Monkey raised his brows slightly and cupped his fists symbolically without saying anything. He had a prideful nature and it was fine for him to greet others. However, there was no way he could fawn as much as Rat. Suzimo was the leader of the 5 of them. The spirit tiger and Ching Ching exchanged glances and said, "Greetings, sir." Humph. The black bear demon let out an odd laugh and glared at Suzimo coldly. What arrogance! Interesting, interesting, the rhinoceros demon glared at Rat and grinned. Are all the puny demons you found so ignorant of the rules? Although the rhinoceros demon was smiling, there was no hint of a smile in his eyes, they were cold. The goat spirit's face was expressionless as he stared at Suzimo for a long while. His brows furrowed imperceptibly, but he didn't seem to notice anything. Then, he slowly turned away. Rat secretly wiped his sweat and said, "Sirs, please don't be angry. They are new here and don't know the rules. They will be better in the future." Monkey's lips twitched as he sneered internally. What are you so arrogant for? Wait till I break through the pill Dao and become a fiendish demon. Then, I'll smash all of you to death with my staff. Rat continued, "Don't worry, my lords. The 5 of them aren't weak. They'll definitely become capable generals under the Howling Moon Territorial Lord in the future. A monkey, a tiger, and a crane." The goat spirit muttered to himself. His cold gaze slowly shifted before finally landing on Suzimo. He coldly asked, "What is your original form?" Regardless of whether it was the monkey or Linghu, although they had transformed into human form, it was not complete. There were still traces of their original forms on their bodies. However, Suzimo looked like a human through and through. If not for the fact that he could not sense the aura of Suzimo's essence spirit, the goat spirit would have thought that the green-robed man was a fiend demon. Suzimo frowned to himself. Although he was emitting demonic chi intentionally, he was not a demon and did not have a true form. It would make sense if he insisted that he was half dragons. However, would the 3 of them before him believe that? Right then, the goat spirit's gaze turned sharp as he glared behind Suzimo and hollered, "Woman, stand out." The expressions of Monkey, Linghu, and the others darkened instantly. A delicate figure appeared slowly. It was the silent little fox who was hiding behind Suzimo. The little fox was a little flustered. However, she had witnessed bloodshed in the ancient battlefield after all and was much bolder. Forcing herself to remain calm, she bowed to the 3 fiend demons and said softly, "Greetings, lords." The little fox was way too beautiful. Her figure was slender and she was naturally seductive. There was no part of her that was not seductive. Even if she did not release the bewitchment techniques of the fox race on others, most people would feel their bodies heat up and they would find it hard to control themselves when they saw her. "This lass is not bad," the black bear spirit licked his lips and chuckled. The rhinoceros spirit pouted his lips. "It's a pity that she's too small and weak. She can't withstand the torment at all." The black bear spirit nodded in agreement. The goat's spirit sized up the little fox with an unrestrained gaze and suddenly asked, "Fox race?" The little fox had already taken on human form completely and there were no flaws in her appearance. To think that the goat's spirit would be able to see through her true form instantly. A look of panic flashed through the little fox's eyes and disappeared instantly. Shaking her head, she forced a smile. "You must be joking, sir. I'm not from the fox race." The little fox's lie was way too clumsy in the eyes of the goat's spirit. Foo-foo. For the first time, a smile appeared on the goat's spirit's face. More wrinkles appeared on his initially wrinkled face and he looked a little frightening. "From this day forth, you'll follow me." The goat's spirit pointed to the little fox and said in a commanding tone that left no room for doubt. Monkey's eyes gradually turned bloodshot. Ling Hu's hair stood on end. Ching Ching's expression was cold and she wanted to revert to her true form as well so that she could fight at any moment. Be it joining Howling Moon or paying respects to the three fiend demons before them, none of that mattered to Monkey and the others. However, the little fox was their bottom line. No one was allowed to covet the little fox. Nobody noticed that the moment the goat's spirit glared at the little fox, Su Zimo had already lowered his head slightly. His gaze was cold and murderous. The atmosphere in the forest suddenly became tense, filled with a murderous intent. The rhinoceros spirit looked at Monkey and the others and hollered, "What are you guys trying to do? Do you have a death wish?" The black bear spirit twisted his neck and rubbed his gigantic bare paws, sneering coldly, "It's been a long time since I went on a killing spree." In the forest, more than 100 Jin Dan realm spirit demons gradually surrounded them with unfriendly expressions and bared their fangs and claws. "Everyone, calm down. Calm down." The rat was anxious and kept winking at Su Zimo and the others. "The three of you have been serving under the Howling Moon Territorial Lord for many years. It might not be a bad thing to follow the three of you." The rat emphasized the words Howling Moon Territorial Lord. He reminded them out of goodwill. However, he truly had not expected the little fox's position in the hearts of Su Zimo and the others. Even if an overlord wanted to lay his hands on the little fox, Su Zimo and the others would be willing to fight with their lives, let alone a territorial lord. The goat's spirit shifted his gaze and glanced sideways at the anxious rat beside him, asking coldly, "These puny demons don't know what's good for them. Are you going to side with them?" The rat shrunk his neck in fright with a timid expression. The situation before him was truly not what he had expected. The reason why the rat invited Su Zimo and the other four to Howling Moon Mountain was because he truly thought highly of their capabilities. To think that things would develop to this point the moment they arrived. The rat glanced at Su Zimo and the others and stood behind the goat's spirit and the other two fiend demons obediently, feeling a little ashamed. It was not a difficult choice. It was clear who was stronger and who was weaker. So, there are truly people who don't know what's good for them. Su Zimo sighed. Before his sigh was finished, Su Zimo struck without any warning. Chapter 795. A moment ago, he was still a frail scholar with a lowered gaze. The next moment, he turned into an ancient demon that was decisive to kill. Su Zimo was unfamiliar with this forest and knew nothing about it. However, all the living beings in this forest knew nothing about him as well. The three fiend demons before him did not know what sort of existence this frail-looking scholar was. The moment they saw Su Zimo attack, the three fiend demons were momentarily stunned with a single thought in their minds. How dare he? Against three fiend demons, this Jin Dan realm spirit demon dared to make the first move? Before that thought was completed, the three fiend demons were shocked. That was because Su Zimo had already closed in. He closed the distance of more than 100 feet instantly. He was way too fast. A suffocating pressure surged over. Su Zimo squeezed into the embrace of the black bear spirit and closed in, exerting strength instantly. Bang! A dull thud could be heard from the collision of flesh and blood. The black bear spirit's eyes widened in fear. Before he could land his bare paws, he was sent flying viciously by Su Zimo. A horrifying sound of bones cracking could be heard from within the enormous body. The chest of the black bear spirit had caved in deeply. The body of a fiend demon was almost crushed by Su Zimo. Demons were born strong and possessed sharp fangs and claws. They specialized in tempering their bodies. After becoming a fiend demon, they could abstain from eating and did not have to refine their flesh. Instead, they had to consume the essence of the sun and moon to temper their bodies. A body tempered by the essence of the sun and moon was even stronger. This was also the clearest and most insurmountable gap between low-level fiend demons and spirit demons. In the world of demons, it was almost impossible for spirit demons to threaten fiend demons. They were not on the same level at all. However, this scene shattered the understanding of many demon beasts. The hundreds of demonic beasts that had just charged forward unconsciously slowed down their pace. Their pupils contracted, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. As a low-level fiend demon, Lord Black Bear's spirit was crippled by this frail-looking scholar. The rat hid at the side and widened its beady eyes, nearly biting off its tongue in fright. The black bear's spirit's gaze dimmed gradually. The power that erupted from this collision had completely destroyed the life force in his body. Bang! The rhinoceros spirit reacted and let out a roar. His flesh expanded and his bones cracked as he tried to revert to his true form to fight Su Zimo. But at the same time, a series of crackling sounds came from Su Zimo's body, and his body expanded by a lot. Go back. Su Zimo's voice was like a thunderclap. A huge hand that covered the sky landed directly on the rhinoceros spirit's head. The rhinoceros demon grunted. His body had only transformed halfway when he encountered the suppression of the sky-covering giant hand. It was as if he was carrying an unstoppable Mount Meru on his back. Ci. Streaks of blood appeared on the skin of the rhinoceros demon and fresh blood was spurting out. Under the immense pressure, his flesh and blood had already exploded. Right in front of everyone, the rhinoceros spirit's body had just expanded when he was pressed back by Su Zimo's palm with a blood mist spewing out of his body. The 100-odd demon beasts that charged over felt their scalps prickle. Their eyes were no longer filled with disbelief, they were filled with panic and fear. Kill! Right then, accompanied by Linghu's roar, Monkey, Linghu, and Ching Ching reverted to their true forms one after another and charged into the crowd. The few of them had just come out of the ancient battlefield. What sort of people were they in the ancient battlefield? Be it human cultivators or demons, they were all paragons and elites, the top batch of the Jin Dan realm. In the ancient battlefield, the few of them were fearless and invincible. What were the spirit demons before them compared to them? This was truly akin to a tiger entering a flock of sheep, causing a bloodbath. Monkey took huge strides and arrived before a gigantic elephant. Reaching out, he grabbed the elephant's trunk and released his divine strength, lifting it up. There was a boom. The gigantic elephant drew a perfect arc in midair and was smashed heavily onto the ground by Monkey. Its tendons and bones were already broken and there was no more life left in it. On the other side, Linghu lunged in front of another tiger demon with a ferocious gaze and bared his fangs and claws. Both Linghu beasts opened their bloodied mouths at the same time and bit towards the other party ferociously. However, a series of bedazzling thunderbolts shone from Linghu's body. The tiger demon opposite him shuddered and its blood chi was drained by the sudden power of thunder. It froze in midair and lost all feeling in its body. Linghu was not slow and bit down on the tiger demon's throat. Exclamation point. Blood flashed. Linghu shook his head violently. The tiger demon's throat was ripped apart by him. Screech. A clear and resounding cry of a crane sounded. Ching Ching spread its wings and circled in the air for a moment. Suddenly, it descended and reached out with a pair of sharp claws, grabbing the head of a demon beast. The next moment, Ching Ching soared into the air once more. The demon beast's head was ripped apart by Ching Ching's sharp claws. This experience in the ancient battlefield was extremely important for Monkey and the others. Their combat strength had increased tremendously and they had already gained the ability to kill. Every single move they made was a clean killing move. Even Little Fox, who looked weak on the surface, was not to be trifled with. There were demon beasts that took the opportunity to get close to Little Fox, wanting to capture her alive. However, before that demon beast could get close, another demon beast charged from the side and sent it flying. Before the demon beast that appeared later could stabilize itself, another demon beast charged over and clashed with it with its sharp claws. Around Little Fox, a group of demon beasts had bloodshot eyes and had already lost their rationality. They were killing one another in a chaotic manner. The Little Fox stood there quietly. However, none of the demon beasts could get close to her. On the other side, the rhinoceros demon had a menacing expression and growled deeply from the depths of its throat. It was still barely holding on. Su Zimo's gaze was cold as he raised his leg and kicked. Bang! Instantly, the rhinoceros demon's body was sent flying by Su Zimo and only came to a stop after snapping more than 10 towering ancient trees. It fell into the mud motionlessly. It was completely dead. The only remaining goat demon had just reverted to his true form and raised a pair of sharp horns. Just as he was about to stab Su Zimo, he realized to his horror. The two fiend demons that were initially beside him were already dead. In the blink of an eye, he was the only one left. Escape? Given the speed that Su Zimo displayed just now, there was no way he could escape. Since he could not escape, he could only fight to the death. At that thought, the goat demon raised its sharp horns and lowered its head, stabbing viciously towards Su Zimo. It did not move. Unknowingly, Su Zimo had already reached out with a pair of gigantic hands and gripped the goat demon's sharp horns. He looked down with a cold expression and a hint of mockery in his eyes. That gaze was akin to a divine being looking at an ant. "WW, what are you trying to do? How dare you?" The goat demon put on a tough front and said with a trembling voice, I am a general under the Howling Moon Territorial Lord. If you dare to harm my life, the Howling Moon Territorial Lord will definitely skin you alive and grind your bones to dust. Let me tell you something, Su Zimo's voice sounded calmly, I've always been bold. Crack. Exerting strength in both arms, Su Zimo gripped the goat demon's sharp horns and pried open the latter's head from the middle, causing scalding brain juice to spill all over the ground. The goat demon's skull was ripped apart and his essence spirit was destroyed on the spot. Chapter 796. In the blink of an eye, all three fiend demons were dead. The forest was filled with a thick stench of blood and killing intent. The remaining demon beasts were already on the verge of defeat after being killed by Monkey and Linghu. When they saw that, they were scared out of their wits and fled in a panic. Where do you think you're going? Monkey was in a killing frenzy and chased after a demon beast. Raising his fist, he smashed the demon beast's head into pieces. Monkey's eyes were bloodshot and he had an excited expression. In a flash, he charged into the forest, wanting to kill all the remaining demon beasts. All of a sudden, a figure appeared in front of him in a flash. Without hesitation, Monkey threw a punch. Bang! The intruder reached out and gripped Monkey's fist, withstanding the full force of the punch. Monkey was forced to a stop. It's me. Su Zimo's voice sounded and he released Monkey's fist, hollering deeply, don't chase anymore. Let's leave this place first. Although Su Zimo was decisive in killing and was swift in his attacks to kill the three fiend demons right away, he had not lost his rationality. This was not the ancient battlefield. In the ancient battlefield, they could do whatever they wanted if they were together. However, this was not the case. This was one of the 8 demon regions and Howling Moon Mountain of the Thousand Beast Valley. There were way too many existences that could threaten them in this forest. This was not Sung Lang Mountain Range either. In Sung Lang Mountain Range, be it Su Zimo or Monkey, both of them were considered as half-masters and were extremely familiar with the environment, terrain and trees of the place. However, they knew nothing about this place. It was easy to kill the 3 low-level fiend demons, but the troubles that followed could be endless. At that moment, if the few of them were to get entangled with the fleeing demon beasts, they would be in greater danger the longer this dragged on. If they truly attracted more fiend demons or alarmed the legendary Howling Moon Territorial Lord, the 5 of them would most likely be doomed. A Territorial Lord was definitely a mid-level fiend demon that was equivalent to a void reversion. Even if Su Zimo released all his trump cards, he would not be able to defend against the power of a void reversion. Now, the most important thing was to leave this place as soon as possible and find a safe place where the 5 of them could break through with all their strength. If they could cultivate their essence spirits and ascend to become fiend demons, stabilizing their cultivation realms and refining dermic weapons, it would mean that they would have a certain level of self-protection. After all of them had gained quite a lot in the ancient battlefield. The mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the Great Wilderness had a total of 9 sections. The next chapter was the Een Spirit chapter. Now, he had already cultivated 7 ancient demon kings. If nothing went wrong, there was a high chance that another ancient demon king would appear in the Een Spirit section. Su Zimo was filled with anticipation. He wanted to know what kind of cultivation method there would be in the Een Spirit section, and which ancient demon king would appear and impart it to him. Upon hearing Su Zimo's voice, Monkey panted heavily and the blood in his eyes gradually receded. He nodded and said, "Let's go." Su Zimo called out. After determining the direction, he rushed towards the east side of the forest. Monkey, Linghu, Qing Qing, and the little fox followed closely behind. They were extremely unfamiliar with the environment and terrain of the forest. Thankfully, Su Zimo's spirit perception was frightening and his 6 senses were powerful, allowing him to avoid many troubles. After sprinting for close to 2 hours, they found a rather secluded cave. Su Zimo snuck in first and checked it out. After discovering no danger, he called for Monkey and the other 3 to enter. "You guys take a rest first and find an opportunity to break through. I'll go set up something at the entrance of the cave." With that, Su Zimo turned and left. Arriving at the entrance of the cave, he pondered over the array formations that he had learned over the years. Over the years, Su Zimo had not neglected the Tao of array formations. If his understanding of array formations was insufficient, he would not be able to release the power of his candlelight sword formation. Su Zimo established the foundation of his array formations at Misty Peak. However, he comprehended many of the profound array formation manuals in the Sutra Chamber at the bottom of the Dragon Burial Valley. After pondering for a moment, Su Zimo began setting up array formations. He did not dare to be careless since he had just entered the demon region. The only way to ensure his safety was to set up some concealment and illusionary array formations to disguise himself. Spirit chi seeped out of Su Zimo's fingertips and condensed into swords, carving out array patterns on the ground one after another. The process of setting up the array formations was not smooth. From time to time, traces of spirit demons would appear in the vicinity. In order to prevent being exposed, Su Zimo would stop once he sensed the traces of spirit demons and continue setting up the array formations after the spirit demons left. In less than half a day, the news of the deaths of the 3 fiend demons seemed to have spread. As time passed by, more and more spirit demons passed by this place. All of them had grim and unfriendly expressions. It was clear that they were searching for something. Thankfully, none of those spirit demons discovered the existence of this cave. Night fell. A few breaths of varying severity could be heard from the pitch-black cave. Along with the breaths, demonic chi rumbled and spread through the cave, turning thicker. However, be it the breaths or the thick demonic chi, they lingered within the cave and were isolated by the array formation at the entrance without spreading out. At the entrance of the cave, Su Zimo sat on the ground and glanced back. Half a day had passed and Monkey, the Linghu, Ching Ching, and Little Fox showed no signs of breaking through. All of them were already at perfected core formation and were only a step away. However, how could it be that easy to break through a major cultivation realm like core formation? A breakthrough as such required a calm mind and chi condensation. They had to sense a mysterious opportunity from the unknowns before they could succeed. It was like a sudden impulse. If one were to forcefully break through based on their stubbornness without an opportunity, they would instead be frustrated and enter chi deviation. Su Zimo did not attempt to break through and chose to guard this place silently. The process of breaking through a major cultivation realm was extremely crucial and could not be disturbed. They were in a dangerous place. If the 5 of them were to break through at the same time and encountered danger without anyone guarding them, they would definitely be severely injured and their Dao foundations would be destroyed. Su Zimo closed his eyes gradually and emptied his mind. Outside the cave, there were the sounds of cicadas and frogs. There were the rustling sounds of ants crawling. There were the sounds of wings flapping in the air. Although he did not open his eyes, Su Zimo could almost see birds circling in the air. It was a mysterious feeling. It was tranquil and beautiful. An unknown period of time passed. All of a sudden, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat and he opened his eyes. They were like 2 bolts of lightning that tore through the night. Just a moment ago, the chirping of cicadas, the croaking of frogs, and the sounds of birds and beasts suddenly disappeared without a trace. It was as though a stone had been thrown into a calm lake. It broke the initial tranquility. Su Zimo stood up slowly with a cold expression and a cold glint in his eyes. It was silent outside the cave. However, he knew that danger was everywhere outside. How could this be? How did this location get exposed? Su Zimo was deeply puzzled. He had already confirmed that there were no spirit demons following him the entire way here. He was also certain that no spirit demons had seen them enter this place. Furthermore, there was a concealment formation outside the cave. How did someone find them so quickly? Chapter 797. Outside the cave, the shadows of the trees swayed eerily under the cover of the night. All of a sudden, a rustling sound could be heard from the depths of the forest. One after another, ghastly green eyes appeared in the darkness, shining with excitement and ferocity. As they approached the cave, the silhouettes of spirit demons became clearer. 100, 200. After 500, the number of spirit demons was still increasing. At the very front of these spirit demons, there were more than 30 demonic beasts carrying figures on their backs. These figures looked no different from cultivators. They were also dressed in all kinds of Taoist robes. There were white-haired old men, scantily clad beautiful women, and burly men. Naturally, there wouldn't be any cultivators in the demon domain. There was only a single possibility for those figures to look no different from cultivators. Fiend demons. More than 30 fiend demons had appeared at the same time. At the front of the fiend demons, there were 2 figures with the strongest auras. Although they were low-level fiend demons, their statuses were clearly superior to the other fiend demons. Soaring Leopard and Intermediate Tiger. The Howling Moon Territorial Lord had a total of 7 protectors and they were the 7 strongest demon beasts among the low-level fiend demons. They had fought their way up to their current positions. The Soaring Leopard and Intermediate Tiger were 2 of the 7 protectors. Although the Goat Demon and the other 2 that died earlier were fiend demons as well, they were far inferior compared to the 7 protectors of Howling Moon Mountain in terms of strength and status. Right now, the 2 protectors had brought more than 30 low-level fiend demons and many spirit demons. It was clear how important this matter was to them. The Soaring Leopard and Intermediate Tiger rode on their demon beasts and looked down from above, frowning slightly as their gazes landed on a stone wall not far away. There were a few vines on the stone wall and it did not seem like there was a cave at all. If not for the fact that the 2 of them had solid information, they would not have been able to spot any flaws even if they passed by this place. All of a sudden, The stone wall shuddered and ripples appeared on it like a water screen. A figure walked out from within. The person was dressed in green robes and had delicate features. He swept his gaze across the demon army with a calm expression without any hint of panic or fear. Immediately after, another 4 figures walked out. It was Su Zimo's group of 5. The other party had already found this place and was about to surround him. Su Zimo did not take any chances. Instead of hiding in the cave and praying that he would not be discovered, he might as well walk out. The formations at the entrance of the cave were merely concealment and illusion formations. Ignoring the fact that it couldn't withstand the power of fiend demons, even if there were enough spirit demons attacking at the same time, they could break through the formation easily. Very good. The soaring leopard clapped his hands and nodded with a smile. You're very self-aware and smart. As long as you cooperate obediently, you'll suffer less. Chi. Monkey curled his lips and rolled his eyes, sneering with disdain in his eyes. The smile on Soaring Leopard's face stiffened. As one of the 7 great protectors of the Howling Moon Mountain, he could be considered an existence that could call the wind and summon the rain in this territory. Which demonic beast would dare to mock him? The surrounding demon beast army also became restless. Many spirit demons let out low growls with murderous intent. The soaring leopard retracted his smile and his expression turned cold as he said coldly, I don't care about the rest for now, but I'll be taking your life, monkey. Caw, caw, monkey grinned fearlessly. We don't know who'll be taking whose life. That's right, Linghu sneered as well. Who doesn't know how to boast? Who are you trying to scare? Little tiger cub, how dare you act so brazenly in front of me? The other protector at the side, the intermediate tiger, suddenly hollered and let out a roar unique to the tiger race. The forest shook and evil winds gusted with a wanton might. The intermediate tiger's true form was of the tiger race, an ancient remnant beast lineage. When he saw that Linghu was merely an ordinary tiger, he was filled with disdain and instantly released the might of the tiger race and bloodline aura, wanting to stun Linghu. However, there was no way he knew that Linghu's current bloodline was no longer something that an ancient remnant beast like him could suppress. Back at Misty Peak, Linghu had already begun cultivating the Void Thunder Manual. His bloodline gave birth to the power of thunder. In the Astral Dragon Sputum Lair, Linghu fused with 4 claws of the ancient tiger race and was reborn, cleansing his marrow and blood. Even a pure-blooded ferocious beast of the tiger race like the Lu Wu might not be able to restrain Linghu, let alone an ancient remnant beast of the tiger race. Linghu glanced sideways and pouted his lips. Who are you? Why are you barking here? How noisy! The intermediate tiger was enraged and snarled with a ferocious gaze, little cub, you're merely a tiger that has gained sentience. On account of how difficult it was for you to cultivate to this point, I'm not willing to harm your life. How dare you not know what's good for you? You're truly courting death. Listen up, you little bastard. I'm Howling Moon Mountains. Linghu was annoyed by the way the intermediate tiger called him little cub, and interrupted him before he could finish, I don't care who your grandmother is. Even if your grandfather is here, I'll still cut him down. It's not my grandmother, it's the intermediate tiger was so angry that his mouth was dry and he nearly spat out a mouthful of blood. Why are you wasting your breath on them? Let's capture them first. The soaring leopard glared at Monkey not far away with a cold gaze and waved his palm. The ground trembled. Spirit demons swarmed over from all directions. More than 30 low-level fiend demons charged over as well. The soaring leopard and intermediate tiger are the only ones who stood on the spot and looked down at the 5 people not far away. To the 2 of them, Su Zimo was merely 5 spirit demons. It was said that the reason why he was able to kill 3 low-level fiend demons previously was because he caught them off guard. Right now, the 5 people before them could not defend against the charge of more than 30 low-level fiend demons and a spirit demon army, they were about to be defeated instantly. Follow behind me and kill our way out. Su Zimo hollered deeply and suddenly, a roar burst forth from the depths of his throat. His inner core circulated and scarlet demonic chi surged out from his mouth and nose as crackling sounds echoed from his body. Swoosh! Right in front of everyone, Su Zimo's body expanded and in the blink of an eye, he was 100 feet tall. His black hair danced wildly and his eyes were frightening with a torrential ferocity. Ah! What's that? Many spirit demons felt a gigantic shadow rise from the ground and raised their heads instinctively. They could not help but feel chills run down their spines as their scalps prickled. The aura released by Su Zimo in his demon form was way too frightening. Even the 30-odd low-level fiend demons were shocked and gasped, let alone the spirit demons present. They felt as insignificant as ants in the face of that massive body. His body shone with a bronze luster as though it was molded with molten steel. His muscles protruded one after another and he was filled with explosive power. This was an ancient grand demon that swept through the world and engulfed everything. Rumble. Boom. Su Zimo's body bolted forward and his gigantic feet plowed 2 deep ravines on the ground, resembling heavenly moats. The spirit demons in front of him could not defend at all. Some of them were stomped into meat paste while others were sent flying, snapping countless ancient trees. The 2 ravines were already dyed red with blood. No demon beast could defend against Su Zimo's charge. Chapter 798. The 2 low-level fiend demons at the front were caught off guard and could not dodge in time. They were crushed by Su Zimo and their bodies exploded into a bloody paste. The demons were shocked. The soaring leopard and intermediate tiger were shocked as well and retracted the contempt in their eyes with grim expressions. What was this man's true form? Even the 2 of them felt their hearts skip a beat in the face of such strength. Su Zimo led the charge at the front and defended against most of the attacks. Monkey, Linghu, Ching Ching, and Little Fox followed closely behind and fought against the many spirit demons that swarmed over. There was almost no existence among the spirit demons that could threaten Monkey and the other 3. Even pure-blooded ferocious beasts could not do it. Die! A sinister voice sounded in Ching Ching's ears. A bald eagle swooped down at an extremely fast speed and descended on Ching Ching in the blink of an eye. It extended a pair of sharp claws that shone with a cold glint towards Ching Ching's head. Ching Ching was alarmed. The aura of the bald eagle was clearly that of a low-level fiend demon. Before the eagle's claws descended, Ching Ching already felt a stinging sensation on her scalp. Ching Ching did not dare to take it head-on and released all her cultivation. Circulating her inner core, she spun around rapidly in midair and dodged the bald eagle's fatal attack by a hair's breadth. Even so, it still managed to claw off a bunch of Ching Ching's feathers and a few drops of blood splattered. Roar! Linghu was anxious when he saw that and roared furiously. Leaping into the air, he wanted to pull the bald eagle down. The bald eagle had a disdainful expression and flapped its wings, vanishing from the spot. At the same time, another low-level fiend demon had already closed in and clashed head-on with Linghu. Linghu shrieked tragically and fell from midair, grimacing in pain. Monkey was entangled by a fiend demon as well and could not break free for the time being. He growled repeatedly and the scarlet glint in his eyes intensified. Although the 4 of them could be considered the strongest among the spirit demons, they were not strong enough. However, it was still difficult for them to win against fiend demons. Among them, Monkey, who was the strongest in combat, could not gain the upper hand against fiend demons before he went berserk. A low-level fiend demon glared at Linghu and frowned. Although Linghu fell to the ground in a wretched manner, he howled tragically and struggled to stand up once more. His strength was not enough to kill the Linghu on the spot. The spirit tiger grit its teeth and gasped. It felt as though its tendons and bones were about to break apart as its entire body ached and was secretly shocked. If he had not fused with those 4 tiger claws in the astral dragon, he would have been severely injured and his life would have been in danger. The little fox could rely on the bewitchment techniques of the fox race to charm spirit demons. However, it had no effect on fiend demons that had already cultivated essence spirits. Qing's Linghu. In the chaotic battle, Linghu. Alzss in mid-air, a huge palm suddenly stretched out, covering the sky and covering the sun. With a terrifying aura, it shrouded down from the sky. Bald Eagle stared at Qing with a mocking look in his eyes. Just as he was about to launch another attack, his vision darkened. Linghu the giant palm descended. Vulture wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Exclamation point. A blood mist spewed out. The gigantic hand grabbed Linghu and crushed him instantly. Su Zimo flicked away the remaining blood on his palm with a cold expression. Suddenly, he opened his mouth and let out a deafening roar. Roar! A massive air current gushed out. Green veins popped up on Su Zimo's neck like spirit snakes slithering on it in a menacing manner. Many ancient trees in the vicinity quaked. The slightly smaller branches were directly shattered by this roar. Leaves fell one after another and turned into dust in midair. Some of the spirit demons closest to Su Zimo froze on the spot with dazed gazes. Blood flowed from their noses and mouths as they collapsed one after another. Those spirit demons' eyes dimmed, they were already dead. Given Su Zimo's current cultivation, physique and bloodline, none of those spirit demons could withstand the sound domain technique released. Even the fiend demons present shuddered. The two fiend demons that were fighting against Monkey and Linghu felt their minds go blank and they froze on the spot with dazed expressions. There was no way Monkey would let that opportunity slip by. He stood up and reached out, snapping the fiend demon's head. Linghu bit off the throat of the fiend demon opposite him as well and was invigorated. Don't linger on the fight. Let's kill our way out first. Su Zimo growled deeply and continued charging out with Monkey and the other three. They would only sink deeper if they got entangled here. Trying to leave. Stay here. The soaring leopard and intermediate tiger's voices sounded and they had already attacked. A cold flash appeared. A gigantic flying disc tore through the air, almost slicing the void into two. Instantly, it arrived before Su Zimo with a terrifying aura. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. He could sense the aura of dermic powers from the flying disc. It was a fiend demon dermic weapon. Although his physique was strong and could even destroy spirit weapons, he could not defend against the sharpness of dermic weapons. In the world of demons, dermic weapons were extremely precious. That was because demons did not know how to refine weapons. The magical artifacts they controlled were either looted from cultivators they had slain, or the bones, claws, teeth, or other body parts left behind by powerful fiendish demons. In reality, the flying disc before him was a scale from a high-level fiend demon. It was picked up by intermediate tiger by accident and was refined into his destiny dermic weapon. The dermic weapon could be used for both offense and defense. It was abnormally tough with sharp edges and could defend against damage. It could also be thrown out to deal immense damage. Shoo! The sound of a sharp blade tearing through the air could be heard. The soaring leopard attacked and another cold flash of light appeared. Su Zimo took a closer look. The cold flash was a short sword with 3 intricate patterns etched on it. It was clearly created by a human weapon refinement master. It was a superior grade perfected Lord dermic weapon. He did not know where the soaring leopard obtained it from, but this dermic weapon was extremely rare for him. Both of them were in the position of protectors and there was no need to elaborate on their methods, they had rich combat experience as well. Both of them could tell that Su Zimo had a frightening physique and extraordinary bloodline. His melee combat strength was extremely strong and even if the two of them joined forces, they might not be able to defeat him. Both of them merely exchanged glances before summoning their destiny dermic weapons at the same time and releasing a ferocious wave of attacks. The remaining fiend demons recovered from the shock of Su Zimo's sound domain technique and charged forward once more. The two dermic weapons arrived instantly. Su Zimo seemed to have given up and stood motionlessly on the spot, as though he knew that he could not dodge them. The soaring leopard and intermediate tiger gripped their fists gently and their eyes lit up. Immediately after, the excitement in their eyes vanished gradually when they saw something else. It was replaced with confusion, shock and disbelief. The demonic chi around Su Zimo was rumbling and getting thicker. Demonic chi rumbled around his body and rapidly condensed into lifelike demons with menacing claws and fangs, gradually materializing. The aura of time flowed on the bodies of those demons, as though they came from the primordial era. Instantly, the winds howled and the world quaked. The entire forest was silent. All the demon beasts present, be it spirit demons or fiend demons, were silent and did not even dare to breathe heavily when they were swept by the intimidating gazes of the 7 ancient demons. Chapter 799. Before the scaled dermic weapon and short sword could reach Su Zimo, they had already slowed down. After the arrival of the 7 ancient demon kings, the two demonic dermic weapons came to a complete standstill and quivered in midair, as though they were under immense pressure. The soaring leopard and intermediate tiger were shocked. Both of them could clearly sense that their control over their destiny dermic weapons was weakening gradually. Roar! The sanguine ape and hell tiger roared at the same time and opened their mouths. Demonic chi surged and they devoured the two dermic weapons. Ugh! The soaring leopard and intermediate tiger grunted dully and their faces turned paler. They had lost their sense of the two dermic weapons. Those two dermic weapons were their destiny dermic weapons and they had been tempered with their essence spirits for hundreds of years after they turned into fiend demons. Even if their dermic weapons were lost, they would be able to sense them from thousands of kilometers away. Unless someone could erase the spirit consciousnesses they cultivated on their destiny dermic weapons. However, how was that possible? They had refined those two destiny dermic weapons for hundreds of years. Even for someone of the same cultivation realm, it would take hundreds of years for them to erase the spirit consciousness imprints they cultivated on their destiny dermic weapons for their own use. That was one of the benefits of having a destiny dermic weapon, it was not easy to lose them. Even if they managed to snatch someone else's destiny dermic weapon, they would have to spend a long period of time to erase the spirit consciousness imprints on it. The losses outweighed the gains and they did not have the energy to do so. If the other party escaped, the destiny dermic weapon would be a huge problem. There was an extremely mysterious connection between destiny dermic weapons and cultivators. If one carried an opponent's destiny dermic weapon with them, it would be equivalent to exposing one's location. One would not know when their opponent would come knocking on their door once more. If the other party brought along a strong helper, the destiny dermic weapon would bring about a fatal disaster for the other party. Of course, if one's cultivation was far superior to the other party, they could naturally erase the spirit consciousness imprint on the destiny dermic weapon with their supreme dermic powers. For example, if a mid-level fiend demon like the Howling Moon Territorial Lord were to make a move, he might be able to erase the spirit consciousness imprints of the soaring leopard and intermediate tiger on their destiny dermic weapons within 6 to 4 hours. However, that was the strange thing. The person before the soaring leopard and intermediate tiger was not a mid-level fiend demon. More accurately, this person could not even be considered a fiendish demon. Although this person's body was humongous and filled with demonic chi, there was a clear inner core circulating within his chest. This person was obviously a spirit demon. How could a spirit demon erase the spiritual consciousness imprints on their destiny dermic weapons? At this moment, the two ancient demon kings that had just swallowed the scale and the short sword opened their mouths at the same time and spat out the two magic tools. Soaring leopard and intermediate tiger were overjoyed. I don't know what kind of tricks this kid has up his sleeves, to be able to casually bring out a few beasts. These beasts are only strong on the outside but weak on the inside. They finally tasted pain and spat out their own magic tools. The power of a dermic artifact is not something a mere spirit demon can challenge. The two of them sneered inwardly as a thought flashed through their minds. They were about to use their spiritual sense to retrieve their natal magic artifacts. Their gazes subconsciously fell on the two Dharma artifacts and instantly froze. The joy in their eyes had long since disappeared. What replaced it was endless shock. The demonic chi dissipated and the two dharmic weapons were revealed once more. However, they were riddled with holes and dimmed. It was no longer important whether the spiritual consciousness imprints were still around. That was because the two dharmic weapons were crippled in the blink of an eye and were extremely damaged. This was not strange, it was horrifying. The two of them did not know that in their eyes, these random beasts were bloodline phenomenons created by Su Zimo's cultivation of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the Great Wilderness. Although the two of them were low-level fiend demons, they had never heard of bloodline phenomenons before. Less than that, they did not know how terrifying the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the Great Wilderness was. What was the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the Great Wilderness? It was a supreme demon classic that encompassed yin and yang, seized creation, reversed the universe and twisted the flow of qi. There was only one of it in this world. It was because of this cultivation technique left behind by Dai Yu that Su Zimo was able to get to where he was today. That was the reason why he was able to kill the Rakshasa and leader of the Protoss in Myriad Phenomenon City despite the fact that his spirit energy was depleted and he was able to turn the tides. It was truly wishful thinking for two low-level fiend demons to think that they could injure Su Zimo with their low-graded dharmic weapons. Kill! Su Zimo hollered with a cold expression. The 7 ancient demon kings around him roared and charged in all directions, bringing with them a powerful destructive force as they slaughtered their way into the crowd. For the 30-odd low-level fiend demons in the vicinity, the 7 ancient demon kings were a calamity. Some of the fiend demons were indignant and wanted to fight against the incoming anacondas. However, they were coiled by the anacondas rapidly and their organs were crushed. When the soaring leopard and intermediate tiger saw that, fear flashed through the depths of their eyes and they wanted to retreat. All of a sudden, both of them felt their scalps prickle and their hairs stand on end. Su Zimo had already locked onto them. A powerful killing intent engulfed them and they felt chills run down their spines. As though he could read their thoughts, Su Zimo remarked coldly, "Since you guys came knocking on my door, don't even think about escaping." Swoosh! Before his sentence was completed, a malevolent aura surged towards them. In a flash, Su Zimo had already closed in. Herg! Su Zimo exhaled and his voice boomed like thunder. Both of them were shocked. The soaring leopard and intermediate tiger were protectors of Howling Moon Mountain after all. A ruthless determination flashed through their eyes and they did not turn to escape. Instead, they chose to join forces to fight. If the two of them were to escape at that moment, they would definitely die. Both of them had already reverted to their true forms. Their gazes were ferocious and a ball of light shone brighter and brighter in their widened mouths. That ball of light emitted a powerful energy fluctuation. Demonic arts. After becoming fiend demons, demons would awaken their inherited memories. Extremely few fiend demons would possess secret skills that utilized dharmic powers in their inherited memories. All of those secret skills were known as demonic arts by cultivators. To put it simply, demonic arts were dharmic arts that fiend demons possessed. All of a sudden, a blood-colored butterfly appeared behind Su Zimo. There was a pair of round moons tattooed on the wings of the blood-colored butterfly. It was like a pair of eyes that glared coldly at the soaring leopard and intermediate tiger. The dharmic powers in the mouths of the soaring leopard and intermediate tiger showed signs of dissipating when they were glared at by the pair of eyes. Immediately after, the wings of the blood butterfly flapped gently. Bang! Bang! There were 2 dull thuds. The lights in the mouths of the soaring leopard and intermediate tiger exploded instantly. Ah! The 2 protectors shrieked tragically and their mouths were blasted into a bloody mess with fresh blood flowing. Su Zimo reached out and slapped the heads of the 2 protectors viciously. Snap! The sound of bones cracking could be heard. The two protectors shuddered and their gazes widened before dimming. When this palm smashed down, it shattered the two great protectors' primordial spirits. With the death of the two protectors, the demon army that arrived this time round began to crumble as well. A gigantic gap appeared in the encirclement that was initially formed. Monkey and the others were invigorated and were raring to give chase. However, they were stopped by Su Zimo. Let's leave this place first. Don't linger on the battle. Su Zimo had a calm expression and his body returned to normal as he charged out of the encirclement with Monkey and the other three, escaping into the distance. Chapter 800. Danger lurked everywhere in the forest. The blood stench of this place would definitely attract even more powerful demon beasts. Tangling with the remaining demon beasts would only place them in danger. Right now, they were only spirit demons. They were nothing in the 8 demon regions and were at the bottom of the food chain of the demon race. Even though Su Zimo had many trump cards and was strong in combat, he could not defeat mid-level fiend demons. Furthermore, he had to conceal the methods of the immortal, Buddhist and fiend sects as much as possible in the demon region. If his identity as a cultivator was exposed, the entire Thousand Demon Valley would not be able to tolerate him, let alone Howling Moon Mountain. Su Zimo led Monkey and the others out of the encirclement. After determining the direction, they continued sprinting towards the east at full speed in search of their next shelter. At daybreak, Su Zimo had already shaken off the many spirit demons that were tailing them and found another hidden cave. Su Zimo checked the vicinity carefully and entered only after confirming that there were no spirit demons watching. The cave was connected from the front to the back. Su Zimo circled the cave and nodded to himself. He decided to hide here for the time being and prepare for his breakthrough. Right now, the most important thing for them was to break through their core formation and cultivate their essence spirits as soon as possible. Once this realm was crossed, for the 5 of them, their battle prowess would experience a qualitative leap. Each of them had treasures that they obtained from the ancient battlefield and were only waiting to refine them after they became fiend demons. Take a rest first and adjust your states. Don't be impatient. When Su Zimo saw the fatigue in Monkey and the other 3's eyes, he reminded them before turning to leave. He began to set up formations at the front and back of the cave. About 6 hours later, just as the formations at the entrance of the cave were set up, Su Zimo sensed that something was amiss. Spirit demons were starting to appear in the vicinity. Furthermore, their numbers were increasing. Su Zimo realized that the spirit demons were here for them. They were exposed again. How could this be? Su Zimo stood in the cave with a dark gaze. Through the formation, he glared at the pairs of beast eyes that were faintly discernible in the depths of the forest far away. The previous time, it was the 2 protectors of Howling Moon Mountain who came. Who would it be this time? Su Zimo pondered for a moment before turning around to wake up Monkey and the other 3 who were recuperating. He said in a deep voice, "If I'm not wrong, the demon beasts of Howling Moon Mountain have already discovered this place. Then let's go kill them again." Linghu waved his fist, full of confidence. But this time, even the arrogant monkey didn't make a sound. Su Zimo said, "The demon beasts that Howling Moon Mountain sends out will only get stronger and stronger. This time, I won't be surprised even if the Howling Moon Tribal Lord personally shows up." What should we do? The little fox looked worried. Let's leave this place and keep going. Su Zimo said. All right. Monkey and the rest nodded and followed Su Zimo out of the cave at the back and continued forward. Along the way, the 5 of them walked with trepidation. The Myriad Demon Valley was indeed one of the 8 major demon regions. During this period of time, they encountered 3 mid-level fiend demons. Thankfully, Su Zimo's spirit perception alerted them and they managed to avoid them early on without any mishaps. A flying beast flew over their heads and even Su Zimo felt his heart skip a beat when it emitted an aura. The aura of the flying beast was similar to the old immortal crane, and it was most likely not a mid-level fiend demon. There was a high chance that it was a high-level fiend demon and an overlord. Naturally, there was no way the 5 of them could hide their tracks from the flying beast. However, the flying beast merely glanced at the 5 of them indifferently. It was as though the 5 of them were too weak and the flying beast was not interested in them at all as it flew past them without stopping. They could experience something like that at any moment. In other words, if the 5 of them were to roam freely in the demon region, they would have to face the danger of being devoured by demon beasts that were even stronger. Before long, Su Zimo found an excellent hiding spot once more. There was a cave hidden behind a waterfall that was extremely spacious. Although there were rumbling sounds of water flowing, it could be resolved easily as long as they set up a soundproof formation at the entrance of the cave. Su Zimo was slightly relieved when he entered with Monkey and the other 3. Another 4 hours passed and Su Zimo was only halfway through setting up the formation at the entrance of the cave. Frowning slightly, his ears twitched as he listened intently. A moment later, Su Zimo stood up with a cold glint in his eyes. They were discovered again. There were already demons chasing them here. Su Zimo pondered repeatedly and recalled carefully. He was certain that they were not followed along the way. There were no spirit demons in the vicinity that caught sight of him either. However, why were they exposed time and time again? What went wrong? Monkey, Linghu, Ching Ching, and Little Fox had deep fatigue written all over their faces. Ever since they left the ancient battlefield, they had not slept a wink and were exhausted from running. If this continued, Monkey and the other 3 would not be able to endure it even if he could hold on. Su Zimo furrowed his brows and his expression was dark. They had nowhere to hide. They were in a predicament the moment they entered Thousand Demon Valley, and the situation was even more severe than he had initially imagined. Were they really going to fight with their backs against the wall? Suddenly, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat as he turned around and glared at the ground not far away. His muscles were tense and he was ready to strike at any moment. Monkey and the others could not sense it yet. However, he could vaguely sense a tremor coming from the depths of the ground. Someone was here. Something was not right. Su Zimo focused his senses and a strange look flashed through his eyes. Before long, a mound protruded from the ground not far away. Soon, the mound broke open, and a sneaky head popped out. It had shifty eyes, and its small eyes looked around in a very wretched manner. The pair of beady eyes shifted to Su Zimo and suddenly froze. Their gazes met. "It's really you," Su Zimo gave a fake smile. The one that popped out of the ground was the gigantic rat that brought them out of the ancient battlefield. The moment Su Zimo's group of 5 arrived, they got into a conflict with the 3 fiend demons. Initially, the rat was on the side of the 3 fiend demons. However, when the battle broke out and it realized that things were not going well, it ran off somewhere. To think that it would take the initiative to come knocking. "Brother, I'm sorry," the rat's body was half buried in the ground as it said with an embarrassed expression, "I didn't expect something like this to happen when I brought you guys to Howling Moon Mountain." Monkey and the others woke up as well. Linghu recalled the rat's expression when it was on the side of the 3 fiend demons and could not help but scoff coldly. "Are you courting death by coming knocking on our door?" "No, no, no." The rat was shocked and fell halfway into the hole, leaving only half its head outside as though it was ready to escape at any moment. It chuckled bitterly. "The situation was dire and I had no choice." Linghu was about to mock it when Su Zimo waved it off and asked indifferently, "What are you doing here? How did you find this place?" Cough. The rat coughed gently. "Actually, your tracks have already been exposed." "Of course." Linghu pouted his lips. "Even a fool would know that you're exposed now that you're here." "Brother Batian, do you know how you guys were exposed?" the rat asked. Su Zimo's eyes flashed as he looked at the rat silently, waiting for its answer. Chapter 801. There are two territorial lords in Howling Moon Mountain, the rat said. The reason why your tracks were exposed is because of the deputy territorial lord, Lord Chanrui. Chanrui? Su Zimo murmured softly and seemed to have recalled something as a look of realization flashed through his eyes. The rat continued, Lord Chanrui's true form is an ancient remnant beast, the mystic jade cicada. She rules over the cicada race within a radius of thousands of kilometers around Howling Moon Mountain. The five of you are a huge target and easy to identify. As long as you travel through the forest, your tracks will be exposed as long as there are cicadas chirping. Linghu and the others were dumbfounded. Even though he and Monkey had stayed in the Wild Lion Ridge for a period of time, they had never heard of such methods. How many cicadas were there in this forest? There were probably too many to count. This was equivalent to their every move being exposed to the enemy. Those ordinary cicadas can't be considered as spirit demons. However, as long as they gain sentience, they will understand the unique communication method of the cicada race and will be able to send your tracks to Lord Chanrui before long. Su Zimo nodded to himself. There was no mistake. Previously, when they were hiding in the first cave, Su Zimo had a strange feeling when he heard the chirping of cicadas and frogs outside the cave. He had a nagging feeling that something was amiss, as though they were being monitored, but he could not find the source. Now, he finally knew what the problem was. What should we do? Little Fox was worried. According to the rat, they were being monitored the entire time. No matter where they hid, they would be discovered and would have nowhere to stay in the future. After all, cicadas were everywhere in this forest. The best solution is to leave the vicinity of Howling Moon Mountain temporarily, Su Zimo said deeply. Once we break through to form our cores and cultivate essence spirits, we'll be able to retract our auras and change our appearances. Even if we return here, those cicadas won't be able to recognize us. Brother, you're smart. You're right, the rat praised hurriedly. Ching Ching frowned. However, we don't know much about Howling Moon Mountain. If we head there without a direction, we'll be caught up by that Chanrui before we even leave Howling Moon Mountain. Su Zimo did not answer. He turned his eyes and looked at Rat with a faint smile. Linghu's heart skipped a beat. His eyes glinted fiercely as he threatened, Howzy, take us out of here. Otherwise, Rat sweated profusely and hurriedly said, Brother Badian, don't worry. I'm here to give you a map of the Howling Moon Mountain. As he spoke, Rat threw out a map made of animal skin. However, the rat did not come out. Half of its body was still hidden in the hole, as if it was afraid that Linghu would catch it and was ready to escape at any time. Su Zimo picked up the map and glanced at it. In addition to the topography of Howling Moon Mountain, there was also some information about the territories near Howling Moon Mountain. This was too important to them. With this map, they could choose the closest way to leave Howling Moon Mountain. Previously, they had been running towards the east. If they were to continue moving towards the east, they might not be able to get out even after 10 days or half a month. However, after comparing the two, if they changed their direction and turned south, they would be able to escape Howling Moon Mountain in 1 or 2 days. Howzy, this map can't be fake, right? Linghu glanced askance at Rat and asked, why are you so kind-hearted as to come all the way here to help us? When Linghu asked that question, Su Zimo's eyes were fixed on Rat as well. Linghu's worries were not without reason. Rat rubbed his palms and said with an embarrassed expression, I was the one who brought you guys back. I feel bad about everything that happened later on. Now that I'm giving you guys this map, we don't owe each other anything. Su Zimo was relieved. There was no panic in Rat's eyes and he did not seem like he was lying. Since that's the case, let's move out right now. Su Zimo could sense that the number of spirit demons in the vicinity was increasing. If they continued waiting, they might not be able to escape once Chanrui arrived with the fiend demons. Before leaving, Su Zimo turned around and looked at Rat. You won't be implicated by giving us the map. It's fine, Rat waved it off. I found this place with my own capabilities as well. As long as you guys don't say anything, no one will know that I gave you guys the map. Farewell, see you. Su Zimo led Monkey and the others out of the waterfall and sped into the distance. It's best if we don't meet again, Rat watched as Su Zimo and the others left before murmuring and burrowing into the cave, vanishing in the blink of an eye. 3 days later. Black Sand Ridge was adjacent to Howling Moon Mountain and was also a territory. The territorial lord was called the Black Sand Monster and his true form was unknown. He was terrifyingly strong and bloodthirsty. His territory was much larger than Howling Moon Mountain. At that moment, Su Zimo's group of 5 found a secluded cave at the border between Black Sand Ridge and Howling Moon Mountain and settled down temporarily. After leaving the territory of Howling Moon Mountain, they had already escaped the pursuit of the cicada race. Near the entrance of the cave, Su Zimo set up many formations meticulously just in case. Monkey, Linghu, Ching Ching, and Little Fox were cultivating inside and their conditions were gradually stabilizing. They were in a good state and could break through to the nascent soul realm at any moment. Su Zimo guarded the entrance of the cave motionlessly, trying his best to suppress the restless inner core in his chest and the quivering Jin Dan in his abdomen. Suddenly, Su Zimo opened his eyes and turned back, sensing something. The first to break through was Monkey. Monkey's aura was already transforming. A faint might enveloped him. That was the power of heaven and earth. Although it was only a single wisp, it was frightening enough. Monkey's flesh exploded and his fur fell off. However, right after, new pieces of flesh grew and his body became even taller and stronger. The process of rebirth was extremely painful. Even the monkey's body was trembling. However, he did not make a single sound with a prideful expression. Under the influence of that aura, Linghu's body began to transform as well. Roar! Suddenly, Linghu roared and reverted to his true form. A series of crackling sounds could be heard from his body as his body expanded along with his flesh. OM! After Linghu, Ching Ching broke through as well. This breakthrough activated the Baifeng bloodline in Ching Ching's body and her body burned with a faint green flame as her aura rose continuously. Little Fox was the last to break through. She was different from Monkey, Linghu, and Ching Ching. Little Fox's movements were the smallest and she was surrounded by a pink mist that rose with a faint fragrance that bewitched one's mind. Su Zimo watched intently with a nervous expression. Breaking through from the core formation and cultivating an essence spirit was equivalent to connecting with heaven and earth and ascending to the heavens in a single step. This was a heaven-defying action and was the most dangerous. Since ancient times, whether it was the Demon Clan or the Cultivator Clan, countless people had died at this stage. If one failed to break through from the Foundation Establishment realm to the Jin Dan, their spirit meridians would be severed and their spirit energy would dissipate. There was still a chance for them to become mortals. However, if one failed to break through from the core formation to the nascent soul realm, they would die. An unknown period of time passed. The auras of Monkey, Linghu, Ching Ching and Little Fox had gradually stabilized and their furrowed brows relaxed as well. The 4 of them exuded a strong life force. Su Zimo knew that Monkey and the other 3 had already turned into fiend demons. Next, it was up to him. Chapter 802. 3 days later, Monkey and the other 3 had already stabilized their cultivation realms and awakened. Through the essence spirits in their consciousnesses, they sensed the heaven and earth and their eyes were filled with joy and surprise. After cultivating their essence spirits, they had reached the realm of Anidia and could cultivate by absorbing the essence of the sun and moon. This was equivalent to making use of the heaven and earth's powers to refine their bodies, tendons, and bones while refining their essence spirits. It was a level higher than consuming flesh. Any demon beast of a powerful race that could cultivate to this point would awaken the legacy memories in their bloodlines. Their legacy memories might contain many cultivation techniques for spirit refinement or some demonic secret skills. The stronger the bloodline, the better the legacy memories. For example, ancient remnant beasts and pure-blooded ferocious beasts would have their own unique legacy memories. Although Monkey was already awake, he narrowed his eyes, as though he was trying to comprehend something. Although the origin of his bloodline was unknown, it was definitely not ordinary. His blood-red eyes alone were enough to prove this point. Linghu was the most ordinary demon beast to begin with and would not have any legacy memories. Even when he cultivated the Void Thunder Manual later on, the only thing he did was to change his bloodline and improve his physique. However, Linghu's current state was clearly in the process of receiving some sort of legacy. The legacy came from the 4 tiger claws in the astral dragon sputum lair. The 4 tiger claws had already fused into Linghu's body and naturally inherited the memories within. Qing Qing had the bloodline of the Bai Fang flowing through her body and naturally had legacy memories. Little Fox also had many secret skills of the fox race. After becoming fiend demons, Monkey and the other 3 needed a lot of time to digest. Not only did they have to comprehend the legacy memories, they also had to use their essence spirits to comprehend the heaven and earth. They could refine the weapons they obtained from the astral dragon sputum lair as well. First, go and cultivate. We'll stand guard here. Monkey came to Su Zimo's side and said. All right. Su Zimo did not decline and entered the depths of the cave. He assumed a lotus position and closed his eyes, gathering his chi calmly. Unknowingly, a strange feeling flashed through his heart. Although his eyes were closed, he seemed to be able to see every single corner of his body, including his organs, meridians and orifices. It was a mysterious feeling. It was like the legendary inner vision. Su Zimo saw 2 slowly revolving large pills. There was a crimson blood pill in front of his chest. There was a dazzling Jin Dan in his lower abdomen. The auras of the 2 pills were completely different. At this time, the energy of the 2 great pills had already reached the limit. They emitted waves of restlessness as if they wanted to leave the pill room and soar into the skies. Su Zimo felt an incomparably vast power of heaven and earth. He had never felt so close to heaven and earth. It was as if he could feel the breathing of the world, the pulse of the world. In the next moment, Su Zimo saw the layer of void. The so-called void was a layer of shackles that the heavens and the earth bound the cultivators. Cultivation was to go against the will of the heavens. Constantly breaking through realms and increasing one's lifespan was to break free from the shackles that the heavens and earth had placed on one's body. There was a saying in the ancient cultivation world, break through the void and you can see God. Breaking through the void was, in fact, breaking free from the shackles in the body. As for how to break through and how to break free, it all depended on the 2 great cores in his body. Su Zimo no longer suppressed them. The inner core turned into a blood beam while the Jin Dan turned into a golden beam of light. At the same time, they left the pill room and charged towards the layer of void within his body. Bang! Bang! The inner core and Jin Dan collided with the void and let out 2 deafening sounds. Su Zimo's body shuddered. The void also trembled a little, but nothing out of the ordinary happened. The inner core and Jin Dan fell and paused in midair for a moment before charging upwards once more. Bang! 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 The 2 great cores collided with the void repeatedly and let out a deafening bang. The void trembled and finally, ripples appeared. Ordinary perfected Jin Dan could only rely on a single Jin Dan in their bodies to break through the void and break free from their shackles. However, Su Zimo had 2 right now. Not only that, his inner core was formed from cultivating the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness and possessed terrifying power. The essence of the immortal, Buddhist and fiend sects was contained within the Jin Dan as well. It could be said that in front of these 2 supreme pills, there was no void, no shackles that could stop the impact of this powerful force. That was the reason why it was relatively easier for paragons to break through to the nascent soul realm. For a perfected being that could be considered as a paragon, the strength of the Jin Dan was definitely stronger than others. The stronger the Jin Dan was, the easier it would be to break through the void. Before long, cracks appeared on the layer of void under the impact of the inner core and Jin Dan. It was about to shatter. Everything was going smoothly. However, Su Zimo's expression turned increasingly grim. For other cultivators, the danger of breaking through to the nascent soul realm was perhaps above breaking through the void. That was because if they could not break through the void, it would mean that the breakthrough had failed and the Jin Dan would shatter within their bodies and they would die. However, Su Zimo's situation was different from others. His danger might come after he broke through the void. Su Zimo did not dare to be distracted and focused on breaking through the void barrier. Bang! 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 Finally, there was a deafening sound after the continuous impact. The void shattered. Instantly, Su Zimo felt his body lighten, as though an invisible shackle had been broken. Su Zimo's glabella shone with a bright light. His heaven and earth were connected and his Naiwan palace appeared. Within his Naiwan palace, Su Zimo caught sight of an illusory ball of light. That ball of light was his soul. If he had not broken through the void, he would not have been able to see the existence of his soul. His inner core and golden core rushed into his Naiwan palace. In an instant, the room was filled with multicolored light. His entire body was white, and the palace in the depths of his glabella was clearly illuminated. Next, it was time to condense his essence spirit. The soul was originally void. Once the Jin Dan was fused into the soul, it would form a corporeal object in the shape of an infant, that was the essence spirit. Su Zimo withdrew a spirit-gathering fruit from his storage bag and swallowed it. The spirit-gathering fruit melted in his mouth and a ball of essence chi surged into his mind. Propelled by the ball of essence chi, the inner core and Jin Dan lunged towards Su Zimo's soul at the same time. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat and he sensed danger. Of the other cultivators, only the Jin Dan was able to fuse with their souls without any issues. However, he did not only have the Jin Dan in his body, he had the inner core as well. In other words, if the Jin Dan and inner core were fighting for his soul at the same time, the outcome might be, before he could finish his thought, he felt a tearing pain in his soul. Suddenly, Su Zimo cried out in pain and fell backwards. His body trembled uncontrollably and his face was pale as he curled up. Monkey and the other three were initially refining their weapons at the entrance of the cave. When they heard the commotion, they were shocked. "Young master!" Little Fox exclaimed with an anxious expression and ran towards Su Zimo. "Don't go!" Monkey stopped her and said with a solemn expression, "At this moment, any interference from the outside world might consign him to eternal damnation." Chapter 803. Monkey was right. At this moment, nobody could help Su Zimo. His crisis came from within himself. Or rather, it came from his choice. If he gave up on the inner core that he had painstakingly cultivated over the years, the Jin Dan could fuse with his soul and form an essence spirit successfully. However, he was indignant. That was a cultivation technique imparted to him by Daiyu. It was also the greatest reliance that he had to reach this stage. The inner core contained a special emotion of Su Zimo. Therefore, even if the world was slandered and he had to bear the infamy of being a foreign race, he had never wavered in the slightest to give up on the inner core. If he gave up on the Jin Dan, he could fuse his inner core with his soul and form an essence spirit successfully as well. However, that would mean that Su Zimo would be reduced to a demon completely. He was indignant as well. Under this type of situation, his soul was currently being torn apart by two exceptional great pills. It was extremely dangerous and could shatter at any moment. Su Zimo could not be bothered anymore. He withdrew the spirit-gathering fruits from his storage bag and stuffed them all into his mouth. For cultivators, only 1 or 2 spirit-gathering fruits were required to condense an essence spirit. Even if there were more, there wouldn't be much of an effect. However, at that moment, Su Zimo could not be bothered anymore. He took out all the spirit-gathering fruits from his storage bag and swallowed them one by one. He knew that everything would be over if he could not get through this. The spirit-gathering fruits turned into streams of essence chi and surged into his spirit platform. The fight for the inner core and Jean Dan turned even more intense. The illusory ball of light in the spirit platform was gradually torn into two by the two powers. The pain penetrated deep into his soul and Su Zimo almost fainted. With his soul shattered, the life force in his body was depleting rapidly as well. Without any of the 3 souls and 7 spirits, there would be huge problems with one's body. Furthermore, his soul was being torn into 2. Su Zimo's consciousness gradually sank into an endless dark abyss and sank continuously. Right then, a beam of light lit up in the dark abyss. It was a flower that burned with flames. It was the Soraka flower that Dai Yu left for him. Asoka flowers grew on Asoka trees. The carefree tree was one of the 3 great sacred trees of Buddhism. According to legend, Buddha was born under the carefree tree. This Soraka flower contained boundless vitality. Back then, it had restored Su Zimo's Jean Dan to its original state. Now that his life was hanging by a thread, the Soraka flower had reappeared. This Asoka flower supported his soul and allowed it to rise continuously, breaking free of the dark abyss. The Asoka flower was burning and its petals were withering. At the same time it burned, it also emitted a rich vitality that repaired the 2 shattered souls. After who knows how long, the Soraka flower was completely burned away. The vast vitality within it restored the 2 incomplete souls to their perfect state. Although his soul was split into 2, it was reconstructed into 2 complete souls by the life force of the Soraka flower. The Niden and Jean Dan fused into it. The 2 balls of light gradually solidified. Within the spirit platform, resplendent light filled the skies and 2 infants sat in a lotus position. Their facial features were gradually revealed and shone with brilliance. Their appearances were identical to Su Zimo's. The state of an infant was the closest to heaven and earth. Therefore, even though the fetus was in the mother's womb and could not breathe in a completely sealed space, it could still ensure the continuation of its life. Upon entering nascent soul, there was a state of returning to simplicity. The 2 nascent souls sat on their respective sides. If one focused their attention, they would be able to tell the differences between the 2 nascent souls. The nascent soul on the left had scarlet hair that was as red as blood. Its facial features were firm and it exuded a sinister demonic aura. Although it was in the form of an infant, it exuded a faint might from its eyes. As for the nascent soul on the right, it had a head of black hair and looked much more scholarly. Its aura was rather unique as well. It possessed immortal chi, fiendish nature and Buddhist light. It was difficult to describe. The nascent soul on the left was formed from the Niden. The nascent soul on the right was formed from Jean Dan. It was done. Although the Soraka flower had already dissipated, Su Zimo had successfully cultivated to the nascent soul realm. Furthermore, there were 2 nascent souls in his spirit platform. With the scarlet-haired nascent soul as the core, it controlled the spirit platform and guarded the Naiwan palace. Suddenly, Su Zimo's aura changed and his initially black hair turned blood red. It was extremely sinister, as though fresh blood had been injected into it. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. Suddenly, tiny scales appeared on the scarlet-haired nascent soul and covered its entire body rapidly. Horns protruded from its head and the aura it exuded turned extremely frightening. At the same time, Su Zimo's body underwent the same transformation. Dragonification only required a single thought from Su Zimo. Thereafter, the scarlet-haired nascent soul retreated to a corner while the black-haired nascent soul assumed a lotus position in the middle of the spirit platform. In the cave, Su Zimo's scarlet hair gradually recovered. Just now, the demonic and sinister aura on his body vanished without a trace and he looked otherworldly. Monkey and the other 3 surrounded Su Zimo in a dumbfounded manner. This kind of method was too shocking. After entering the nascent soul realm, Su Zimo could change his form and aura at will. I'm fine now. Su Zimo opened his eyes slowly and smiled at the four faces around him. The few of them were truly relieved when they heard that. Su Zimo smiled gently. Continue cultivating and stabilizing your cultivation realms. Refine your weapons. Don't bother about me. Alright. Upon seeing that Su Zimo was fine, Monkey and the other three were relieved and dispersed to cultivate. Su Zimo closed his eyes once more and his heart was filled with joy. He had gained way too much from entering the nascent soul realm. Firstly, it was the increase in his lifespan. After cultivators entered the nascent soul realm, their lifespan would increase from the initial 500 years to 1,000 years. It was a full double. Actually, it was an increase in combat strength. After cultivating an essence spirit, one could use it to comprehend heaven and earth and utilize dharmic powers to release all sorts of dharmic arts. There were also many cultivation techniques and secret skills that he could begin cultivating. In terms of cultivation, he had two heaven-grade spirit refinement techniques. One was the Purple Thunder Manual and the other was the Great Day Rolai Sutra. In terms of demonic cultivation, after entering the nascent soul realm, the entire contents of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness, the Yin spirit section, and the Yang spirit section, the 9th section, appeared in his memories. As Su Zimo had expected, there was indeed an ancient demon king imparting the contents of the Yin and Yang spirit sections. What he had not expected was that the ancient demon king was a dragon king. The 8th demon king had appeared. The Yin spirit section mainly talked about how to refine one's spirit. Be it the scarlet-haired Yin spirit or the black-haired essence spirit, they were both in the form of infants and were extremely fragile. They could not even withstand the sun, wind, rain or frost, let alone sabers and swords. As long as they left the orifices of their bodies, their essence spirits would die easily. Therefore, be it in terms of demonic cultivation or cultivation, the most important thing was to refine one's spirit. According to the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness, one could refine the dregs of the Yin spirit to obtain a pure Yang spirit without Yin, and that was the Yang spirit. In cultivation, there was a saying that one could refine their spirit to the void reversion realm. Therefore, after the nascent soul realm was the void reversion realm. Be it the Yang spirit or the essence spirit of the void reversion realm, they did not fear the blazing sun or the astral winds and could truly break free from the shackles of their bodies and roam the world spiritually. In fact, they could even possess the bodies of others. Chapter 804. The Yin spirit section did not record any killing secret skills or dharmic arts of dragons. What was described was the spirit refinement technique of a dragon king of desolate ocean and how to consume the essence of the sun and moon to strengthen one's body and bloodline. Under normal circumstances, Su Zimo would face immense obstacles in cultivating the Yin spirit section. Back then, if not for Dai Yu's guidance, he would not have been able to comprehend the body tempering, tendons transformation and bones strengthening sections in a few short years. Before Dai Yu left, she had also mentioned that it would be difficult for Su Zimo to continue cultivating without her by his side. That was the truth. For the organs refinement section, Su Zimo encountered a tremendous bottleneck and was stuck on the spot for a long time. If he had not woken up in the middle of the night by chance and heard the roars of tigers and leopards, he would not have achieved what he had today. The essence of the organs refinement section came from relatively ordinary demon beasts such as tigers and leopards. As for the Yin spirit section, it came from the Dragon King. It was almost impossible for a cultivator to cultivate the spirit refinement technique of the Dragon King. Even if Su Zimo had the strengths of the immortal, Buddhist and fiend sects, it was difficult for him to understand the Yin spirit section. However, by chance, Su Zimo had once consumed half a dragon egg. Later on, he cultivated the ancient dragonification manual and drank dragon blood for 20 years to cultivate the illumination dragon eye. The bloodline of dragons had already fused into his body completely. It could be said that right now, Su Zimo was half a dragon's. It was not difficult for him to understand the contents of the Een Spirit section. Furthermore, he would definitely be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort if he cultivated the Een Spirit section. Although Dai Yu was extremely resourceful and had incredible methods, she probably did not expect this outcome back then. Right now, the scarlet-haired Een Spirit sat in Su Zimo's spirit platform and controlled his body. Su Zimo flipped his palm and a water mirror appeared. In the mirror, he had a head of red hair and his eyes shone with a demonic glint, giving off a demonic aura. Although he was in human form, no fiend demon would suspect his identity. Su Zimo nodded to himself with a satisfied expression. This appearance was more suitable for cultivating in Thousand Demon Valley and would save him a lot of trouble. "Young master, are you alright?" Little Fox woke up Su Zimo and hurried over, asking in concern. "I'm fine," Su Zimo smiled gently. "You guys can continue cultivating. Don't worry about me." "Ha, I told you that first is fine." Linghu chuckled and relaxed. Hindsight. Monkey pursed his lips and walked to the side to continue cultivating. They had just cultivated their primordial spirits and became fiendish demons. There were many things they needed to familiarize themselves with. Not only have they had to refinement technique spirit spirit refinement of the dragons it dragons, uses have a chi. Yes chi. The stick was covered in rust, and there was nothing special about it. However, this long rod was found in the astral dragon's sputum lair and even Lin Xuanji was shocked when he saw this long rod. The reason why Monkey chose the dragon's essence was simple. It was because he seemed to have sensed a calling from the unknowns the moment he caught sight of the dragon's essence. Monkey's glabella shone and released a spirit consciousness that enveloped the dragon's essence spirit. He began to refine it repeatedly and leave his unique essence spirit mark. Monkey intended to refine the dragon's destiny dermic weapon into his own. On the other side, Linghu was refining his dermic weapon as well. The dermic weapon he obtained from the astral dragon's sputum lair was none other than the 4 tiger claws. Initially, he thought that the 4 tiger claws had already fused into his body and vanished. It was only the moment he turned into a fiend demon that he sensed the existence of the 4 tiger claws. Linghu channeled his essence spirit and gripped his fists tightly with trembling arms. Between his knuckles, an almost transparent, jade-white claw that exuded a chilling aura slowly pierced through his flesh and extended. It was slender and sharp like a saber. There were 2 claws on each of his fists. Instinctively, Linghu touched the 4 claws gently. Clang! Sparks flew everywhere. The sound of metal clashing could be heard when the claws made contact. Linghu's eyes widened as he looked at the 4 lethal claws that extended from his fists. He was secretly delighted when he sensed the sharpness and coldness that they exuded. Those 4 claws could definitely be considered as indestructible. Furthermore, the 4 dermic weapons were fused perfectly with his body and he could wield them like an extension of his body. He would definitely be able to unleash his greatest combat strength. A jade-green feather fan hovered in front of Qing Qing. Under the channeling of her essence spirit, a ball of flames burned around the feather fan and refined it continuously, causing it to appear jade-green. The reason why she chose that feather fan was because the feathers on it were made from the feathers of a Baifang. Half of the Baifang's bloodline flowed through Qing Qing's body. No one was more suitable for that jade-green feather fan than her. Monkey and the other 3 used different methods to refine their dermic weapons. Right now, a pitch-black umbrella hovered above Little Fox's head. She had a grim expression and raised her head from time to time, spitting out a pink mist that emitted a faint fragrance. It enveloped the pitch-black umbrella and left an essence spirit mark on it. Crack! 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 Right then, a cracking sound echoed from the cave. It was as though something had shattered. Monkey's heart skipped a beat as he glared at the rod before him with a bright gaze. This cracking sound came from the rod in front of him. Under the constant refinement of his origin soul, some changes finally occurred to the body of the long rod. A large piece of rust cracked open, and a dazzling golden light burst out from within, spreading out in all directions. Instantly, the golden light suppressed the auras of Linghu's claws, Ching Ching's jade-green feather fan and Little Fox's pitch-black umbrella. Even the many formations set up at the entrance of the cave could not conceal that blinding golden light. The golden light surged into the skies. Thud! The piece of rust in the middle of the rod finally fell off, revealing the golden rod within. Gradually, the golden light dimmed. There were 2 words engraved at the spot where the rust fell off, Qianjun. Qianjun, Qianjun. How domineering. What a good name. Monkey reared his head in laughter and pulled out the rod in front of him, waving it around in delight. 100 kilometers away, in Black Wind Ridge, there were hundreds of demons traversing through the forest in a majestic manner. All the demon beasts in the vicinity had long fled upon hearing the commotion. In the middle of the hundreds of demons, there were 8 muscular bull demons carrying an open-air carriage. They huffed and puffed as they moved in a stable manner. There were dozens of low-level fiend demons around the carriage as well. The moon was surrounded by stars. On the carriage, a black-robed young man with a pale face and dazed eyes rested on the knees of a voluptuous woman dressed in a thin veil. The woman had sharp ears and was clearly not human. However, she was extremely beautiful and charming. She pinched a green grape that resembled a jade bead in her left hand and fed it to the black-robed young man with a smile. Thereafter, the woman took a mouthful of wine and lowered her head slightly, kissing the black-robed man on the lips. She stuck out her tongue gently and passed the wine in her mouth over. The man had an intoxicated expression and enjoyed the fragrance of the woman. All of a sudden, in the distant sky, a golden light appeared and disappeared in an instant. Suddenly, the black-robed man opened his eyes and they shone brightly. He did not seem drunk at all. He glanced over and smirked. Reaching out, he grabbed the woman's chest and said leisurely, "Let's go take a look." Chapter 805. Within the cave. Monkey was extremely excited as he wielded Imminent with both hands and waved it around in a ferocious manner. There were many afterimages of the staff that were bedazzling. Although the commotion caused by Imminent was not small, it did not attract Su Zimo's attention. At that moment, he was completely immersed in his cultivation. After advancing to the nascent soul realm, his flesh, tendons, bones, bloodline and organs were all undergoing a silent transformation. Breaking through the voids and condensing an essence spirit was equivalent to communicating with heaven and earth. Even without Su Zimo's control, his body had already turned stronger and more frightening under the influence of dermic powers. Of course, this was a process. Some cultivators might need half a year. Some might need years or even decades. However, Su Zimo discovered that his metamorphosis was happening at an extremely fast speed. It was as though a violent storm was sweeping through his entire body and he could clearly sense the growth of his strength. He was growing stronger with every passing moment. That was the terror of dual essence spirits. A single essence spirit would channel dermic powers to improve a cultivator's physique and bloodline. However, 2 essence spirits would cause the changes to become even more obvious and rapid. Furthermore, the 2 essence spirits that Su Zimo cultivated were extremely strong to begin with. At that moment, the scarlet-haired Een spirit was in the middle of the spirit platform and occupied the dominant position. As for the black-haired essence spirit, it sat in a lotus position in a corner. Su Zimo discovered that the true terror of dual essence spirits was that both essence spirits could cultivate at the same time without affecting one another. At that moment, his scarlet-haired Een spirit had already begun comprehending the Een spirit section of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness and was cultivating. The black-haired essence spirit in the corner had also begun comprehending the purple thunder manual. With that, the cultivation realms of both essence spirits would not fall behind. On the surface, Su Zimo was at early stage nascent soul. However, the power of his essence spirit was definitely not at that level. Furthermore, he had many trump cards and his true combat strength had already far surpassed early-stage nascent souls. Now that he was at nascent soul realm, he might be able to fight even against early-stage void reversions or weaker mid-level fiend demons. Void reversion realm. Su Zimo murmured softly with a hint of coldness in his voice. Xuanyu Daoren was at the return to void stage. Back in the Great Qian ruins, Xuanyu Daoren disregarded his status as a void reversion and interfered in the fight for the vermilion fruit, wanting to kill him. Not only did he break his wrist, he also shattered his inner core, destroyed his Jin Dan, and completely crippled his cultivation. It was also because of Xuanyu Daoren that the 13 cities of the Yan Kingdom were massacred, and the people of the Yan Kingdom were killed. Because of this, Su Hong was also mentally and physically exhausted. Eventually, he passed away. In order to save her, the only thing her mother had left her, the fire-warding basket, had been snatched away by Xuanyu Daoren. Su Zimo had always remembered these things. Of course, he knew very well that even if he had cultivated 2 essence spirits, possessed the bloodline of dragons and had many trump cards, he was most likely not a match for Xuanyu Daoren at this moment. However, if he were to cultivate to mid-stage, late-stage or even perfected nascent soul, he would have the confidence to fight against Xuanyu Daoren. Time passed slowly. After the initial excitement of refining the weapon, Monkey and the others calmed down and began to cultivate obediently. Su Zimo slapped his storage bag and took out a seemingly tattered lotus platform. His glabella shone with a faint glow and the tattered lotus platform vanished with a swoosh. It had already entered Su Zimo's consciousness. It was time to refine this creation Qinglian. All of a sudden, Su Zimo's ears twitched and he frowned. It seemed like many demon beasts were heading in their direction. In Thousand Demon Valley, flying beasts were everywhere and it was normal for demon beasts to move about. However, Su Zimo could not be certain that the demon beasts were here for them. Furthermore, it was clear that the demon beasts were from Black Sand Ridge. There should not be any feud between them and Black Sand Ridge. What was the background of the demon beasts then? With that thought, Su Zimo willed and a mysterious power spread out from his glabella. Like water ripples, it extended outwards. Su Zimo froze for a moment before coming to a realization. If he was not wrong, this should be the spirit consciousness that one would only possess after cultivating an essence spirit. If sight, hearing, smell, taste and touch were the 5 senses of the physical body, the spirit consciousness would be a sense of the essence spirit. Even though there was only one type, it completely encompassed the effects of the 5 senses. Although Su Zimo was separated from the cave by his spirit consciousness and could not see what was happening outside, he could sense everything that was happening outside with his spirit consciousness. In fact, his spirit consciousness could even sense that there were ants crawling in the mud 5 kilometers away. It was a mysterious feeling. Through his spirit consciousness, Su Zimo could even see what the ants looked like and the fine hairs on their antennae clearly. The 5 senses were innate. Even the body of a mortal possessed the 5 senses. Therefore, there were many restrictions on the 5 senses. For example, one could not see Mount Tai with a single leaf. However, spirit consciousnesses did not have such considerations. Spirit consciousnesses were like flowing water that could penetrate through every orifice. Even with a single leaf's vision, spirit consciousnesses could bypass the leaf and even see the patterns on the back of the leaf clearly. Right now, although Su Zimo could hear the commotion in the distance, he could not see who was causing it. However, he could see with his spirit consciousness. Releasing his spirit consciousness, Su Zimo extended his spirit consciousness forward to check. 5 kilometers. 20 kilometers. 50 kilometers, the range of Su Zimo's spirit consciousness expanded continuously. After reaching 50 kilometers, Su Zimo finally felt that his essence spirit was at its limit and his spirit consciousness was exhausted, it could not extend anymore. All of a sudden, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat as he realized something and his spirit consciousness nearly dissipated. He had read some records regarding spirit consciousnesses in the ancient books at the bottom of the Dragon Burial Valley. Under normal circumstances, the range of an ordinary Jinying Jinjuan's spirit consciousness was about 5 kilometers. It was already rather strong to be able to reach 20 kilometers. Those who could reach 15 kilometers could be considered paragons. As for 40 or 50 kilometers, they were monster incarnates that only appeared once in 10,000 years. 50 kilometers was the range of a void reversion's spirit consciousness. At that moment, Su Zimo had just advanced to the nascent soul realm, and yet, his spirit consciousness had a range of 50 kilometers. It was comparable to the spirit consciousness of a void reversion. However, that was merely the range of the scarlet-haired Een spirit's spirit consciousness. The black-haired essence spirit's spirit consciousness range was close to 50 kilometers as well. If he were to fuse the power of his two essence spirits, his spirit consciousness would most likely reach a range of 200 kilometers. Su Zimo took a deep breath and calmed himself down. His spirit consciousness had already caught sight of the group of demon beasts. Through the envelopment of his spirit consciousness, Su Zimo could see the appearances of every single demon beast. In fact, he could even sense their cultivation realms and auras. Su Zimo caught sight of the black-robed young man who was drinking and having fun on the carriage in the middle of the demon beasts. The black-robed young man seemed to be shrouded in a layer of obstruction that prevented his spirit consciousness from probing, nor could he see through the black-robed young man's background. At the same time, the moment Su Zimo's spirit consciousness swept past the black-robed young man, the latter seemed to have sensed it, and his eyes regained clarity for a moment as he glanced over in a seemingly casual manner. Thereafter, the black-robed young man looked at the woman beside him with drunken eyes and said lecherously, "Beauty, drink, drink." Chapter 806. The black-robed young man merely drank and made merry with the woman beside him, as though he was completely immersed in it. A moment later, when the spirit consciousness on his body receded like the tides, the black-robed young man suddenly straightened his body and his eyes regained clarity. With a cold expression, he rubbed his chin and murmured, "Interesting. Young master, what's wrong?" The woman's voluptuous body was pressed tightly against the black-robed young man, rubbing against him coquettishly as she asked coyly. The black-robed young man smirked and replied with a fake smile, "Nothing much. Just now, someone released their spirit consciousness and checked me out." "What a reckless fool." The woman harumphed and said in a fawning manner, "To think that someone would dare to check you out in Black Sand Ridge. How rude. That person doesn't know the rules. I can teach him." Although the black-robed young man seemed to be saying casually, there was an inexplicable killing intent behind his voice. "Protector Sure, Protector Cha. Here." Two low-level fiend demons appeared beside the black-robed young man in a flash. The black-robed young man opened a map and marked a rough location before saying in a deep voice, "Bring some men and hurry over. Surround this place first and don't let anyone escape." Understood. The two protectors each brought more than 10 fiend demons and released their movement techniques, passing through the forest and rushing over at full speed. As for the black-robed young man, he sat on his carriage and rushed over in a carefree manner. About an hour later, the black-robed young man's group arrived at their destination in a majestic manner. Protector Sure and Protector An arrived before him. "Young master, no one has left during this period of time." Protector An and Protector Sure exchanged glances and could see the confusion in each other's eyes. Although they had surrounded this place, it was a barren land with only 2 or 3 hills. Not to mention a human figure, there wasn't even a shadow of a ghost. The black-robed young man stood up and surveyed his surroundings, frowning as well. His senses could not be wrong. That golden light, as well as the divine sense that was probing him, definitely came from somewhere nearby. Why was there nothing here? Could it be that that person had realized something and had already escaped? That did not make sense. The black-robed young man's expression darkened. When that nameless divine sense probed him, he didn't show any hostility or killing intent at all. Could it be that this person was so cautious that he chose to flee directly? The black-robed young man's forehead flickered as he spread out his divine sense and scanned the area within 1 li in an attempt to find any clues. Although Protectoran and Protectorshire were expressionless and stood with their hands by their sides, they were cursing in their hearts. They had already scouted this place several times. This place was so desolate that not even an ant could be found. How could there be anyone here? After a short while, the black-robed young man withdrew his divine sense, and his gaze descended onto the foot of a nearby mountain. A wisp of ridicule flashed in his eyes as he said unhurriedly, "Come out, these deceptions can't deceive me." Hundreds of demonic beasts gathered nearby. They all followed the black-robed youth's gaze, but all they saw was a bare mountain wall. There was nothing there. Suddenly, the mountain wall seemed to have turned into a water curtain as ripples appeared on it. Several people walked out one after another. One of them was tall and had arms that extended past his knees. He carried a long, rusty rod on his shoulder and had a prideful expression, as though he didn't care about anything. The other person was burly and muscular, walking with a majestic gait. His gaze was filled with endless might, as though he was the king of all beasts. The other two were two peerless beauties. One of them held a feather fan and had a slender figure with curves. Her long, straight legs were especially eye-catching. The other wore a fiery red dress and looked extremely obedient. Her features were exquisite and her eyes were clear like water. Her face was flawless and she was extremely beautiful. However, the young girl held a pitch-black umbrella in her hands. Compared to her aura, it was neither fish nor fowl. When they saw the young girl holding the umbrella, many demonic beasts held their breaths. She was way too beautiful. So beautiful that it took one's breath away. The woman beside the black-robed young man was considered to be the most beautiful demon in Black Sand Ridge. However, she paled in comparison to this young girl. The black-robed young man's eyes lit up when he caught sight of the two women. However, a cold glint flashed through the eyes of the woman beside him. At this moment, another person walked out from the mountain wall. That person wore green robes and had refined features. However, he had a head of long, blood-red hair and gave off a demonic aura. The black-robed young man's spirit consciousness had already detected that the 5 of them before him were low-level fiend demons. Furthermore, they seemed like they had just turned into fiend demons not long ago. Under normal circumstances, 5 low-level fiend demons were nothing much in Black Sand Ridge. However, the black-robed young man frowned slightly. For some unknown reason, the 5 of them were way too calm. The 5 of them were hiding here and had nowhere to hide after he saw through their concealment technique. They should be feeling uneasy and fearful, they shouldn't be as calm as they were. The black-robed young man's gaze landed on the blood-haired young man who walked out last and froze. Although that person was also a low-level fiend demon, the black-robed young man could not see through him. When his spirit consciousness landed on that person, it was blocked by an invisible resistance. He could not even tell what that person's true form was. The black-robed young man could vaguely guess that the spirit consciousness that was probing him just now should belong to this scarlet-haired young man. Naturally, this group was Su Zimo, Monkey, and the others. When the black-robed young man glared at Su Zimo, he was sizing up the other party as well. Su Zimo could tell that the black-robed young man was most likely the most troublesome among the hundreds of demon beasts. They were not surprised or flustered at all when they were exposed, that was because they had no intention of hiding to begin with. Otherwise, Su Zimo would have led everyone away long before the black-robed young man arrived. They had only been in Thousand Demon Valley for slightly more than 10 days and yet, they had undergone way too many changes. When they first entered Thousand Demon Valley, they were still spirit demons. Right now, they were already fiend demons. More than 10 days ago, they were still being hunted down by many demon beasts of Howling Moon Mountain and had no fixed abode. But now, they were able to remain calm despite being surrounded by demons. The biggest reason why they did not leave was because there was no need for that. Monkey was extremely belligerent and had just become a fiend demon. After refining his destiny dermic weapon, he was itching for a fight and could not wait to find someone to fight. Why would he leave? Linghu and the others were also filled with anger from being hunted down. Now that someone was taking the initiative to seek them out, they were naturally not afraid. Instead, their eyes flickered with excitement and eagerness. The weather's great. It's been a long time since I've come out to stretch my muscles. Linghu ignored the demons and twisted his neck, stretching his tendons and bones as a crisp sound echoed from his body. How dare you? Protector Shi's gaze burned brightly as he hollered, which fiend demon are you guys? Why aren't you kneeling when you see the young master of Black Sand Ridge? TSK, TSK. Young master. Linghu pouted with a disdainful expression and spouted nonsense. How fresh is that? I, Hu Batian, am the young master of Black Tiger Ridge. Protector Shi was a pig demon that cultivated into a spirit and was slow on the uptake. He was stunned by Linghu and his heart skipped a beat as he pondered internally. Black Tiger Ridge? Why haven't I heard of that territory before? Looking at this person's posture, I'm afraid he really has a great background. Chapter 807. There were many overlords in Thousand Demon Valley and countless territorial lords of various sizes. Naturally, there were many territories like Howling Moon Mountain and Black Sand Ridge as well. Protector Shi was born with a big head and was merely a pig demon of Black Sand Ridge. It was only logical that there were territories that he had not heard of. In his moment of confusion, Monkey grinned. I'm the young master of Black Ape Ridge. Have you heard of me? Another one? Protector Shi was alarmed. Ching Ching giggled. I'm the young master of Black Crane Ridge. I'm from Black Fox Ridge. Little Fox mustered her courage and joined in the fun as well. However, towards the end, she was truly embarrassed and did not continue. She merely stuck out her tongue cutely. Su Zimo smiled. No matter how slow Protector Shi's reaction was, he could tell that Monkey and the others were teasing him. A series of laughter sounded from the demon beasts at the side. The black-robed young man was expressionless and said nothing. How dare you tease me? You must have a death wish. Protector Shi's face flushed purplish red and he was enraged. His flesh expanded and his body expanded significantly. Although he was still in human form, a menacing pig head grew from his neck. It had sharp fangs and a torrential demonic chi. The eyes of the other demon beasts shone with a ferocious glint as well. They were eager and were waiting for the black-robed young man's order to tear the few of them into pieces. Suddenly, the black-robed young man said, I don't care which territory you're from. However, I can tell you that this is Black Sand Ridge. In Black Sand Ridge, you have to abide by its rules. Caw, caw. Monkey grinned and revealed a row of white teeth. What dogsh *T rules are they? I was born to break the rules. Apart from the two women, the remaining three, the black-robed young man paused for a moment and spat out coldly, kill. Roar. Protector Shi summoned a gigantic steel rake and his plump body soared into the air. Glaring fiercely at Linghu, he roared and descended from the skies. He hated this tiger to death. It made him lose face, so he rushed up at the first moment. Moo. Protector Xia roared and transformed into his true form. It was a huge bull demon. Protector Xia raised his pair of sharp horns and panted heavily. His hooves dug into the ground, causing dirt to fly up as he stared at the monkey not far away. Leave this vixen to me. The woman beside the black-robed young man stood up and looked at the little fox with malicious intentions. Jealousy flickered in her eyes as she stuck out her tongue and licked her lips. The demoness had an extremely long tongue with a forked tip. This was a lamia. Don't hurt her. The young man with the black badge glanced at the snake woman. He seemed to have seen through her thoughts and gave her a warning. Snake Girl was unwilling, but she still said with a smile, "Don't worry, young master. I'll help you train this little girl well." A few demons wanted to fight for credit, so they rushed towards Ching Ching and Su Zimo at the same time. The black-robed young man reclined on the chariot with a leisurely look on his face. The black-robed youth didn't move, and neither did Su Zimo. Monkey and the others had just turned into fiend demons and were itching for a fight. This was the perfect opportunity for them to familiarize themselves with the strength of fiend demons. Su Zimo only had a single target, the black-robed young man. He could tell that although the black-robed young man was young, he was far from simple. There was a high chance that he was a mid-level fiend demon. On the other side, a huge battle had already broken out. Protector Shi swung his heavy rake and drew an arc in midair, smashing towards Linghu viciously. Linghu reverted to his true form and moved at an extremely fast speed in a flash. Before the rake landed, Linghu had already lunged towards Protector Shi's chest and extended his tiger claw, thrusting forward. Protector Shi was shocked. He had not expected Linghu's counterattack to be so ferocious. Although he could crush Linghu's head with that strike, his life would be in danger as well. This was an exchange of a life for a life. It wasn't easy for me to become a protector. How can I exchange my life for yours? With a thought, Protector Shi released a tremendous amount of brute force and stopped the momentum of the rake forcefully. He changed his stance at the last minute and swung his hand in reverse, striking towards Linghu as though he was sweeping through an entire army. Clang! Linghu's tiger claw collided with the rake and sparks flew everywhere. All of a sudden, a series of electric arcs shone from Linghu's body and surged into Protector Shi's body through the point of collision between the tiger claw and the rake. Groar! Protector Shi shrieked tragically and his pig fur stood on end, emitting green smoke. Even his flesh was charred from the electricity. Hee hee! Linghu took advantage of the situation and lunged forward, stabbing all 10 claws into Protector Shi's chest viciously. Exclamation point. Blood flashed. All 10 claws were buried deep into Protector Shi's chest. Under normal circumstances, that would be a serious injury for any demon beast. However, Protector Shi's heart sank the moment Linghu's claws pierced his chest. The pig demon's flesh was way too thick. The pig demon did not have any other capabilities apart from its thick skin. Linghu's claws did not injure the pig demon's vitals at all, he did not even make contact with its organs. Go to hell. Protector Shi laughed menacingly and suddenly reached out with both arms, hugging Linghu's head tightly. At the same time, Protector Shi raised his head and the pair of sharp fangs beneath his chin protruded upwards, piercing towards Linghu's throat viciously. The fights between demons were almost always close-quarters combat. It was the most dangerous and could change in an instant. Initially, Linghu had the upper hand. However, in the blink of an eye, he was in immense danger. His claws were dug into the other party's chest and he could not pull them out in time. His body was locked and there was nowhere for him to dodge against the incoming fangs. All of a sudden, Linghu's heart skipped a beat and a tearing pain came from the gaps between his bones in his bloodline. Exclamation point. It was the sound of a sharp weapon piercing flesh once more. Protector Shi's fangs were less than an inch away from Linghu's throat. However, they stopped there motionlessly. Linghu broke free from Protector Shi's control and retreated. Apart from the 5 sharp claws on his tiger paws, there were also 2 thin, sharp blades between his fingers that were stained with blood. Just now, those 4 tiger claws had reached out and pierced Protector Shi's chest. Protector Shi's eyes widened and he lowered his head slowly, staring at the fresh blood that was gushing out of his chest. His strength was draining rapidly as well. With a thud, Protector Shi fell to the ground and gradually stopped breathing. Linghu's heart pounded after escaping death. Instead of fear in his eyes, he was even more excited. Ha 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 ha. Linghu reared his head in laughter. What dogsh *T protector? He was still killed by me, Hu Batian. On the other side, Protector Cha was galloping with his head lowered and a pair of bull horns raised. His massive and muscular body dashed past, causing dust to fly everywhere. Even the ground was trembling. This was one of the demonic arts of the bull demon race, the raging bull charge. When it was fully charged, it was so powerful that it could even crush mountains. None of the low-level fiend demons dared to take it head-on. Monkey wielded his metal rod and remained motionless against the incoming bull demon. However, the sanguine glint in his eyes gradually brightened. Chapter 808. The black-robed young man shifted his gaze and looked at Monkey not far away with interest. Among the protectors of Black Sand Ridge, Protector Cha's strength could only be considered average. However, not many protectors could withstand that bull's charge head-on. He did not believe that a monkey that had just turned into a fiend demon would be able to defend against Protector Cha's charge. Rumble. Bang. The sound of hooves thundered. Protector Cha charged over, and by the time he arrived before Monkey, his aura was already at its limits. Moo! Protector Jia roared angrily and pushed forward. Good timing. Monkey finally moved and slapped Imminent's tail, causing the entire rod to bounce up. Wielding Imminent with both hands, Monkey swung his arms and smashed down viciously at the incoming bull's head. Imminent streaked through the air, leaving afterimages one after another. Bang! The two demon beasts collided. Immediately after, the shuddering sound of bones cracking could be heard. Right in front of everyone, Protector Cha's head was smashed into the ground by Monkey's rod and blood gushed everywhere. Protector Cha's essence spirit was shattered by Monkey's rod and he died on the spot. The demons were in an uproar. Nobody expected that two protectors of Black Sand Ridge would die on the spot the moment they exchanged blows. Many demon beasts that charged forward were stunned. Crack! 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 A series of cracks appeared on Imminent's body and shone with a faint golden light. The black-robed young man narrowed his eyes and took a closer look, lamenting to himself, just now, that golden light that flashed by should be from that item. Initially, Monkey only had a piece of rust on Imminent when he refined it. But now, against Protector Cha, the rust on Imminent cracked and fell off in succession against the terrifying collision, revealing a golden rod that shone with a resplendent light. From its appearance, anyone could tell that this long staff was a rare treasure. Demon Monkey, don't get cocky. Wait for the black and white heroes to take care of you. Before his sentence was finished, two fiend demons had already charged over. Although their bodies were massive, they were agile. One of them was pitch black while the other was snow white. They were two bear demons. The two bear demons each took out a long saber. As they rushed over, the long sabers slashed down from the sky. The two bear demons cooperated with each other very well. It was obvious that they were good at joint attacks. Those two sabers were not ordinary items either. There were two dermic patterns carved on them. They were middle-grade perfected Lord dermic weapons. I don't care if you're a pair of bears or a pair of heroes. Get lost. The monkey swung Qianjun to the left and right, smashing the two sabers. Clang! Clang! Sparks flickered, and the two sabers broke. A mid-grade true monarch dermic artifact was actually unable to withstand the force of 1,000 caddies. The monkey's blood-red eyes scanned Qianjun's body, but he didn't find any scratches. He was overjoyed and laughed heartily. Ha ha ha! Good, good, good! What a great treasure! Follow me from now on, and I won't let you be covered in dust. The black and white heroes, who had lost their Dharma artifacts, jumped in fright. They had just rushed forward when they wanted to retreat. How could the monkey give them this chance? Accompanied by two tragic cries, the two bloated bodies were sent flying by the monkey's two strikes. By the time they landed on the ground, their tendons and bones were already broken and they were barely alive. On the other side, the snake woman had already arrived beside Little Fox. The snake woman gazed coquettishly and reached out with her slender fingers to caress Little Fox's cheeks, saying coyly, "Lass, your skin is so smooth that it's like water can be squeezed out. I'm so envious. Come, let me touch you." There was a fatal killing intent hidden beneath the snake woman's beautiful smile. However, there were very few people who could notice it. In Black Sand Ridge, the snake woman was a famous femme fatale and many fiend demons died in her hands. In terms of cultivation, she far surpassed Little Fox. However, her bewitching methods were truly nothing in the face of Little Fox. Little Fox retreated half a step and dodged the snake woman's finger by a hair's breadth with a calm expression. A faint stench of blood wafted over. Between the snake woman's fingers, there was a dark green needle. Just now, if Little Fox were to allow the snake woman to touch her cheeks, her face would be ruined even if she wouldn't die. The snake woman's viciousness was shuddering. Little Fox's eyes flashed with rage as well. The pitch-black umbrella in her hands thrust forward like a spear at an extremely fast speed and arrived instantly. After a year of training in the ancient battlefield, Little Fox had already matured rapidly and was no longer weak or timid. "Foo-foo, lass, you're angry," the snake woman laughed coquettishly and retreated gracefully, raising her palm gently. A ball of green liquid sprayed towards Little Fox. Many fiend demons in the surroundings were shocked and they caught sight of the green liquid. Wariness flashed through their eyes as they dodged hurriedly, afraid that they would be implicated. That green liquid was the strongest poison in the snake woman's body. Anyone who came into contact with it would be corroded into pus. Even some dermic weapons would be destroyed upon contact with the poison. It was extremely powerful. Little Fox was unhurried as she opened the pitch-black umbrella in her hands. The surface of the umbrella was like the heavens as it shielded her. The snake woman's poison sprayed onto the surface of the umbrella. There was no reaction at all. The terrifying poison did not cause any ripples when it landed on the surface of the umbrella. Like a stone ox entering the sea, it vanished completely, as though it was devoured by the pitch-black umbrella. Looking at the pitch-black umbrella not far away, the snake woman was secretly alarmed. The pitch-black umbrella was like a bottomless abyss of darkness. Even her gaze and mind were about to be pulled in if she looked at it for too long. She had a feeling that even if she were to land on the pitch-black umbrella, she would be devoured into nothingness, let alone her poison. At the same time, Ching Ching was already engaged in a fight with the fiend demons. Ching Ching reverted to her true form and cried continuously as she flapped her wings. Relying on the speed of her movement technique, she shuttled between the 5 fiend demons and was gradually finding it difficult to deal with them. After all, she had just become a low-level fiend demon and had yet to adapt to the strength of a fiend demon completely. Against the combined forces of the 5 fiend demons, Ching Ching's space to maneuver was getting smaller and smaller. "Demoness, surrender and the young master will definitely take pity on you," one of the fiend demons said lecherously. All the demons burst into laughter. Ching Ching's expression was cold. With a single thought, she spat out an exquisite feather fan that expanded with the wind and expanded in midair. The feather fan was green in color and seemed to be burning with tiny flames that distorted the surrounding space. All the demons were shocked. The green feather fan looked extremely extraordinary and gave off a scorching aura. "Die!" Ching Ching's glabella shone and she injected the power of her essence spirit into the green feather fan, fanning it in the direction of the 5 fiend demons. Swoosh! A ball of green flames burst forth instantly and engulfed the 5 fiend demons. Ah! 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 No matter how the 5 fiend demons struggled, they could not extinguish the flames on their bodies. In the blink of an eye, the flesh and blood of the 5 fiend demons were reduced to ashes, leaving behind white bones that fell from midair with billowing green smoke. Pust! The group of demons sucked in a cold breath. What sort of a feather fan was that? To think that it possessed such might. In the blink of an eye, a few fiend demons from Black Sand Ridge were dead. They suffered heavy losses. A massive battle broke out and Black Sand Ridge was disadvantaged in a clash of techniques. The black-robed young man's expression turned terrible and he finally sat up from the carriage, as though he was prepared to attack. All of a sudden, the black-robed young man sensed something. Not far away, 2 pairs of eyes landed on him. They were like 2 sharp swords, threatening and warning him. Chapter 809. The black-robed young man glanced sideways and caught sight of Su Zimo, who was not far away. A hint of mockery flashed through the black-robed young man's eyes. Although he could not see through Su Zimo, he could sense that the latter had just become a low-level fiend demon. How dare a low-level fiend demon threaten and warn him? Killing intent surged in the black-robed young man's heart. Just as he was about to strike, he saw 3 fiend demons charging over from the side. The 3 fiend demons saw that Su Zimo had delicate features and was standing quietly behind Little Fox and Ching Ching with empty hands and seemed to be the easiest to deal with. What's so great about hiding behind 2 women? Let's see how long you can hide. One of the fiend demons wielded a cold iron spear and hollered. His blood chi rumbled and dermic powers surged on his spear. Glaring at Su Zimo's face, he thrust his spear forward. Su Zimo stood motionlessly with his hands behind his back, as though he was scared out of his wits. The fiend demon's eyes danced with a ferocious glint and he could not help but grin. It was as though he could see the scene of Su Zimo's head being pierced by the spear. The blood in his body could not help but rumble. A cold beam of light closed in rapidly. Su Zimo ignored it and did not even blink. Right as the cold beam of light was less than an inch away from his face, Su Zimo suddenly struck and gripped the incoming spear in a flash. His fingers clamped down on the spear like a tight band. The fiend demon's smile froze on his face. It was too fast. He did not manage to see when or how Su Zimo struck. By the time he realized what happened, the spear in his hands could no longer pierce forward. Not only that, no matter how much strength he exerted, the spear could not budge at all in Su Zimo's grip. Right then, Su Zimo spoke. His voice was calm and emotionless. Indeed, I'm not very capable. However, it's enough to kill you. Before he finished his sentence, Su Zimo's palm suddenly went limp and wrapped around the spear. The entire spear spun rapidly. The fiend demon could not hold on to it and let go instinctively. Ah! The fiend demon shrieked tragically and his palms were already a bloody mess. Before he could react, a ferocious force slammed into his chest and sent him flying from the ground. His body was sent flying uncontrollably and he could only feel the tree figures on both sides retreating. Bang! He seemed to have crashed into an ancient tree, and his body finally came to a stop. Countless green leaves rustled and fell before his eyes. Immediately after, he felt a tearing pain in his chest. Instinctively, he lowered his head. His chest was pierced by a cold spear. It was his own cold iron spear. His chest had been pierced through by his own cold iron spear, and blood was gushing out. How of me? The light in his eyes gradually dimmed. Blood flowed out of his mouth as he lowered his head. His sins. His of inzas of SS. The black-robed young man saw everything clearly. Although the fiend demon was merely thrusting with his spear, Su Zimo snatched it away instantly and tossed it in reverse, pinning the fiend demon to the ancient tree behind him. Although the entire process seemed simple, the black-robed young man knew that a terrifying burst of strength, strong combat talent, rich melee combat experience and fearless guts were required to achieve such an effortless feat. Without any of those, it would be difficult to succeed. Even he might not be able to do this if he was in the same position. Before the black-robed young man could finish his thought, the other two fiend demons that were charging towards Su Zimo had already closed in on him. Bang! Bang! In a flash, Su Zimo advanced instead of retreating and cut in front of the two fiend demons. He punched with both fiend demons with peerless power. The two fiend demons were sent flying, and by the time they landed on the ground, they were already corpses. It was clean and clean. After advancing to the nascent soul realm, Su Zimo's bloodline and body had undergone an unimaginable transformation with his two essence spirits. Although he was only at early-stage nascent soul realm, ordinary low-level fiend demons could not cause him any trouble at all. The black-robed young man soared into the air and lunged towards Su Zimo. Swoosh! Suddenly, a powerful energy fluctuation spread through the voids. Heaven and earth trembled and a domineering might surged. Every single fiend demon present felt their hearts skip a beat. Void Reversion Realm. Only void reversions could release such power. It was a spirit consciousness attack. Be it Jining Jinjuan or the low-level fiend demons, they had already cultivated essence spirits. With essence spirits, there would naturally be spirit consciousnesses as well. However, the spirit consciousnesses of Jining Jinjuan and the low-level fiend demons could only be used for scouting and were not strong enough to launch attacks. Only void reversions and mid-level fiend demons could materialize their essence spirits and launch attacks. The black-robed young man, who was also the young master of Black Sand Ridge, was a mid-level fiend demon. Spirit consciousness attacks were killing techniques that targeted one's essence spirit and were extremely dangerous. If one could not defend against it, their essence spirit would be severely injured and they would die on the spot. Even Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals would not be able to save them. The powerful spirit consciousness fluctuation swept towards Su Zimo like a sandstorm that was dry and scorching. Su Zimo's expression changed. Before the power arrived, he felt his heart skip a beat and his spirit perception warned him repeatedly. The scarlet-haired Een spirit in the middle of the spirit platform was formed from cultivating the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness. Although it was strong, it was only an early-stage Een spirit and had yet to reach the level where it could launch spirit consciousness attacks. It was the same for the black-haired essence spirit. Su Zimo was helpless against the black-robed young man's spirit consciousness attack. That was also the reason why mid-level fiend demons had an overwhelming advantage over low-level fiend demons. It was not only because of the leap in dermic powers, a single spirit consciousness attack was enough to kill all low-level fiend demons. Su Zimo had just advanced to the nascent soul realm and was not familiar with the combat techniques of that level, let alone the void reversion realm that was one level higher. The black-robed young man stood in midair and sneered with crossed arms. In his opinion, that single attack was enough to kill Su Zimo. The massive spirit consciousness surged over. Su Zimo could no longer avoid it. If he allowed the black-robed young man's spirit consciousness to rush into his spirit platform, his essence spirit would definitely be severely injured. All of a sudden, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat and a thought flashed through his mind. The scarlet-haired Een spirit in the middle of the spirit platform suddenly stood up. The black-haired essence spirit that was initially seated in a lotus position in a corner stood up at the same time. The two essence spirits closed in rapidly and fused together. Su Zimo's two essence spirits were separated from his soul to begin with. Now that they were fusing together, there was no resistance at all. A brand new essence spirit appeared in the spirit platform. The essence spirit had long black and red hair with a left eye that was blood red and right eye that was pitch black. Although it was in the form of an infant, it had a cold expression and looked down on everything, exuding a domineering aura that looked down on the world. The fusion of the essence spirits caused the power of the essence spirits to increase exponentially. Naturally, the spirit consciousness became incomparably vast as well and condensed into an ocean, creating a series of raging waves in the spirit platform. The brand new primordial spirit let out a roar in the spiritual platform. Boom! Su Zimo's glabella shone brightly and released an incomparably terrifying spirit consciousness fluctuation that collided against the incoming spirit consciousness. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.